I'm muted. All right, what's up, everybody? Thank you, Scott, for becoming a new member at the safety features level. And good evening, Anders. Good to see you from Stockholm. All right, today we've got quite a show for you. Uh-oh. So I'm going to mute Dan while this child is growling. So we've got today scheduled a lot of things, including here are the 5 biggest stories that we're going to talk about this week, and so much more. If there's a story you notice this week that I don't touch on, drop it in the chat and we'll bring it up and discuss it. But first up, we've got Tesla leaks, including Cybertruck and the new Roadster. We've got a series of play stupid games, win stupid prizes, Gigafactory Nevada milestone, Rivian progress, space news, and of course Elon tweets, and so much more. So let's jump into it and let's see what's at the top of my list. It's a long list. All right, so let's start with Gogoro. I'm saying their name way wrong, but yes, I understand. Oh man, they changed my interface. They want me to know that I'm sharing my screen with you guys. I know, I clicked the share screen button. So, Gogoro is named the global leader in electric vehicle battery swapping, and they've passed now 200 million swaps. So what that is we saw both Better Place and Tesla and NIO offer battery swaps on their cars and trucks. However, Gogoro is going on a different approach. They are actually going for scooter swaps. And with the amount of scooters in the world, particularly in India and China, they are making bank on this. And it's very convenient because if you don't have the facilities to bring your scooter into your apartment, or you don't want to lift the batteries all the way up to your whatever floor apartment, you can just, on your way into the, when you're running your errands, into the office, whatever, you can just swing by one of these stations, swap out your battery packs. There's usually two per it's usually 2 per scooter, and then from there you end up able to just continue on your way as if almost as convenient as regular EV, but still more convenient than getting gas. Pop on those headphones, all right. There we go.
Another interesting thing about that
Yeah?
is, okay, I'm going to date myself. I want to say 2003.
That's not that dated.
They had phones where you can take they were external batteries to most cell phones then, about the size of your hand, and you can switch them out. You can either put the whole phone with the battery on the base, or you can put the battery itself on the base. So essentially, you can take the base with you, take the spare battery with you, and if you're running low, you didn't need a charger. All you did was switch out the battery. Yes, and then by the time you got to somewhere, you just charge up the spare battery and then charge up the base without having this exploding bulge pack like we're having with battery packs now.
Yeah.
To see that it's scaled up like this is great to see.
Definitely. There was a Linux phone that came out last month before last, where one of their key features was they brought back swappable batteries on modern smartphones. It's still a Linux phone, so you really have to program all your own stuff, but it's a step up from what we have with the modern smartphone, where they wanted super thin. And not that this Linux phone isn't thin, but like Apple and Samsung and everybody else is going for like the ultimate in thinness. Like it's to the point where now it's thin enough that you can accidentally bend it. So let's put a little bit of thickness back to get it all day without having to stop and charge in the middle of the day.
Everybody wants a little thickness. So.
Indeed.
As PG as I can keep it.
Next up, we've got Model Y. Both front and rear castings have been spotted at Gigafactory Texas. So everything's on plan with what Tesla, Elon Musk has actually said about what we're going to see from Gigafactory Austin and Gigafactory Berlin. What this one-piece design, well, actually three-piece design, what it does is it allows the car to be more precise. And Elon said that instead of measuring stuff in millimeters, we're going to start measuring it in microns for vehicle quality, which is something that I'm excited for because that Cybertruck is going to be coming from Gigafactory Texas, and my Model X is definitely measured in millimeters and not microns. Not that I don't like it. It's just that they could have done better. They could have done better.
I think
And
this goes
so,
a long way to where they used to say older model cars were either one solid piece of material or more solid based. The Cybertruck's going to go back to that method.
yeah, it's with it being, it's going to be kind of partly origami, partly ladder frame, and I'm excited to see what the first beta model looks like, because the prototype was really solid, really cool, but it wasn't using the final technology. So he said it's going to be better, and I'm curious to see what it ends up looking like. So this part up front is now one piece, and then this back piece was already one piece from Fremont and from China. And so now the last piece is the middle, and that's going to be coming up when they get the new battery cells, and it'll all be one rigid piece bolted together. And people keep asking, what happens if you get in a crash? Like, they have crash rails right here, and if the crash rails are crushed, you cut them off, and then you weld in a new piece you get from Tesla Collision, at either at the Tesla shop or at your Tesla certified body shop. And then if the whole thing is gone, then it's when it gets kind of interesting, because if it's all gone up front, then it's up to if your insurance company has totaled it or not. If they haven't totaled it, then at that point you can order all new sheet metal for the front and a whole new front, and just bolt the whole front back on to your car, and then make sure everything is up to spec, and then send it back out. So that should help for major repairs as well as minor repairs, because minor repairs will be just the same as they always have been, but these major repairs are now just a couple bolts and some sheet metal, paint it up, send it back out, which is really cool to me.
Cool.
All right, this one is fun for our folks in India. Are they going to ask me about sharing my screen every time? Because that's annoying. Okay, so Tasmanian is reporting that Tesla has received approval to sell 4 variants of their vehicles in India, which is extremely important because, we've been anticipating India this year for Tesla. And then they had kind of a backpedaling because India wanted everything built in India by Indian companies, and they were very inflexible with they wanted the Tesla factory, but they didn't want it on Tesla's terms, and so then they walked away from the negotiations. And then about a week and a half later, we saw that they both came back to the table, and they were willing to actually compromise, which is the whole point of negotiations. Everybody doesn't get what they want, but everybody gets something they want, and so now it looks like that second round of negotiations is actually bearing fruit. And with all the pollution you've got in India, it would help to have some higher end cars for people to buy, as well as, there's lots of tuk-tuks and scooters, but not you can't fit your whole, you can't safely fit your whole family on a scooter.
It's certainly done.
Yes, it can be done, but it should not be done. Put your whole family on a scooter.
So good. So India will now have some EVs that rich spoiled brats can drive into the river because it wasn't the right color.
This is a very real possibility, but I would hope that it was just like, the middle class. They've gone to work, they've saved for this, and now they can afford themselves a nice new premium car. I don't want to call it luxury because Tesla has long since left the luxury price point. And let's see which 4 models they get approval for.
So yeah, I understand it's not necessarily different models. It may just be different variants within
Right.
maybe 2 models.
Right. So that's what I'm trying to figure out, is there Model Ys, Model 3s. I was hoping it would say clearly. They don't have any confirmation on names yet, but these are probably 3 and Y variants, it says. Okay, so that's what I was suspecting as well. So that's exciting, and I'm curious to see how it goes, because I know a lot of folks on here and in our other shows, and then just folks I converse with on Twitter. They've been patiently, eagerly waiting the ability to buy their car and not have to import it from elsewhere, because India, like many countries, when you try to import a car from out of country without the support of the proper channels, it becomes very difficult and expensive, to the point where you're looking at 400 or 500% markup and then no support. So to be able to see it done the right way at a reasonable price is kudos to Tesla, kudos to India. Congratulations, folks. Go ahead and get your orders in now, because you know how long these waits can be. the order form should probably open up after they get their approval, and then from there it'll be a matter of them actually getting a shipment in. So probably looking at 3 months from when you are able to put your orders in, because right now September, which is the end of the quarter. So unless they're trying to get them out in time for the end of September, which I really, really don't see happening, you're looking at the end of December for your cars in India if everything goes 100% smoothly, which isn't a bad deal. And then part of the other reason that India wants a factory is, you don't really want a Chinese car there. It's not seen as a popular way to do it. So if they have their own factory, they can say, "Look, Bob made that." Obviously, his name wouldn't be Bob, but you know what I mean.
Wow.
Let's see. We've got another one coming up from Ali. Tesla has 79% of EVs registered in the United States. 79%. I mean, that's good for Tesla, and I'm glad it's not 100%. But we need these other guys to pick it up. I'd like to see Tesla at like 50% or less, and of course keep seeing the EV sales numbers go up. Like so they still sell as many as they do today, but their piece of the pie is smaller because the whole pie is that much bigger.
Wasn't the Nissan Leaf been out forever and a day?
The Nissan Leaf is one of the original commercial EVs available in the U.S. Yes.
So why isn't the Nissan Leaf like?
The Nissan Leaf,
I'm confused as even with the new design.
It's had an interesting life about it, and the new Nissan Leaf, it uses CHAdeMO, and Nissan has already telegraphed that CHAdeMO is on the way out in the U.S. So a lot of folks don't want to end up buying a car that can't fast charge as their main car. I mean, a lot of people are still buying it as a second car, but it makes you have to stop and think and consider. But that's why when we were talking on here last week and on the Tesla Life, no, not the Tesla Life, and What Drives Us show, we were talking about, after the tax incentives and everything, that new Mazda costs the same as a Nissan Leaf with less than half the range. So why not get a Nissan Leaf if you're interested in a 100-mile car? Because now you get free miles. And
100 free miles.
100 plus free miles, and you know that somebody around there knows how to work on that car, whereas with a 100-mile range, the Mazda probably won't sell very well unless they put some mad trunk money on top. And if they don't sell a lot, that means that when it comes to time, like if you're somebody who keeps your car 5-10 years, towards the end of that lifespan, it's going to be super tough to find parts if they didn't sell any. Whereas on the Nissan Leaf, they're everywhere. There's so many sold. They still haven't hit their cap on the tax credit yet, but that doesn't mean that they didn't sell any. It just means they didn't sell enough to lose the credit yet.
And that's amazing in and of itself. How can you sell not to lose the credit, but you've been around forever?
Tesla and Ford and Chevrolet came and stole their lunch.
They actually pushed the cars. I'm surprised to see that that Hyundai and Kia are only at about 6,000 total. And here in Northern California Bay Area, I see quite a few of those. This must be the only place they sell them.
Exactly. So they only sell the Hyundais and Kias in California, DC, and a few other participating California emissions zones. And it seems that they're only doing it for the compliance. But what they've got coming up now, they've got the Hyundai Ioniq 5, and then they've got the Kia EV6, which are twins, just like all the other Hyundai Kias. They're twins. They are coming out real soon, and they will be mass market cars. And so at that point, you'll see them tear through their tax credit. And I really like the Ioniq myself. I think that the EV6 looks better, but I think that the Ioniq is more my style and has features that I would be more interested in if I was just getting into EVs now. But I'm not going to go trade my premium SUV for a compact crossover. Let's see if there was any replies to Elon replies. Yeah, he says this might be part of the problem. GM is warning owners not to charge their bolts in or near their homes overnight. Yes. So he's feeling feisty right here, obviously, and and he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Elon, is it worth the engineering time to make proximity chimes and blah 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 come from the directional speakers? And actually, Elon did respond to this. I don't know if I have it later in the show or not, but Elon said, "Good point. Agreed." And so, sometime on a future software update, what we're going to see is as you get near a trash can or a light pole or whatever, the beeps that the car makes are actually going to come from that side of the car with the audio system, and that is phenomenal.
I think it'll be pretty helpful. Yeah.
Yes, because my first week with the Model S, I ended up scuffing it because it was beeping, just generally just beeping, and it was lighting up one side about a wall. I'm like, yeah, I know the wall is there. I know the wall is there. And the space, this was when only the Model S existed. There were no Model X's, there were no Model 3s, so there was no reason for me to think that this space would not be wide enough to fit a Model S in it. And I'm backing up and it's beeping about the wall. And then suddenly it says, stop! I'm like, okay. And it was too late. I had scuffed a Nissan Sentra. And he was perfectly parked in his space. And so was I, but it wasn't wide enough to fit a Model S. And this was at a destination charger. Like, it was a Tesla charger. So I had no reason to expect that it wouldn't fit a Tesla, since there was only one car at the time and I was in that one car. And so I left my insurance information, and nothing ever came of it. So I dodged a bullet on that one. Yes. What's up, Omar?
Hey, everybody.
What's going on?
What's up?
Okay, so
I like how you broke down the segments into different parts.
Yeah, I tried.
The Elon Tweets section.
The beard, Omar, looks good.
Thanks.
Yep. So GM is saying that they won't repair the recalled Chevy Bolts until their confidence in LG is restored, and I understand this because it would be tough to get truckloads of batteries from these people if you don't trust that they're going to make good batteries.
No, I think it's an excuse.
I also agree that it's an excuse.
They want to wait as long as possible because they figure the longer they can push it out and wait, the less vehicles they'll have to do, because some of them will be totaled, people crash cars, whatever. Some of them would just be out of the fleet, and that's just less cars they have to do.
Yeah, I don't know if I put it in the show notes because I didn't see it when I was clicking through. There were a couple Chevy Bolts that didn't survive at the dealer lot for the recall. They barbecued it. So they're in a tight spot.
Plant too?
I definitely didn't put that in there, but yeah, GM and Ford are closing U.S. plants again. So let's hope that that's just a matter of them not having enough chips. So then we had
that's affecting everybody.
It's affecting everybody, absolutely. So our friends at Motor Trend were able to get some hands-on time with the Rivian R1T, and they called it the most remarkable pickup we've ever driven. So now I'm curious to see what happens when they get their hands on the Ford and the Cybertruck, because then we'll have they can then make a call on the most impressive EV pickup we've ever driven, rather than not that this is anything to sneeze at. This is good.
I think Rivian is going to be a very, very good product. I think it's going to be a great truck.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to seeing that out there.
Yeah,
but like you said, once you can compare the other EVs,
yes,
now that's a better comparison, because pretty much any of the big EV trucks are going to be better than all the other gas diesel trucks that yes. ever driven, right? Because they're going to ride so much different, so much better.
They're going to be stable. They're going to be quick. They're going to be smooth. Not that some of the trucks today aren't smooth, like the luxury ones are pretty smooth, but they're going to be even more smooth because they don't have any reciprocation. It's just rotation. And the Rivian has a large trunk. It was the largest frunk I'd ever seen until that F-150 came out, and we still haven't seen the frunk on the Cybertruck because I contend that Elon had planned to show us more of that truck before he got shook in that presentation by the steel balls. The balls of steel.
Okay, so this is where the big private part swinging for trucks, I think, is going to work out well for everybody. Because everybody's going to be like, the biggest front, the better. And it's going to be like, yay, more space. Like, literally, it was like, Rivian's like, we got the biggest front for your truck ever. And then Ford is like, hold my beer. And it's like, yay, more space. So I think this is a good thing. The first.
And who knows?
Bigger is better.
Maybe Elon changed some things about the design of the Cybertruck to get more space, just to help compete with the F-150.
I suspect that he definitely did, because that truck was growing and shrinking for like 6 months.
The front wars, only the customer wins.
That's right.
This is definitely
competition is always best for consumers. Yeah. So I love it.
Absolutely. And then I got this Tesla stats in here. I don't know how or why it's in here by itself with no note, but it is. So they've got general Tesla registration stats. Model S, 21,000. Model X, 13,000. Model 3, 30,000. And Model Y, 1,600. But the Model Y we've already seen in the last couple months has been outselling everything, just as Elon promised. So I imagine that by the end of the year, this thing will be a completely different landscape. And that's over at teslastats.no if you are interested in keeping track of this third-party site.
Speaking of stats,
a lot of it's going to be interesting. Sorry, Omar. It's going to be real interesting to see the 3s and the Ys catch up to the S's and the X's.
Oh, yes.
They're just brand new now, the new babies in the scene. So it's going to be interesting to see how they lap in the next few years.
I think that the new Model S and X will still be lower than the 3 and Y, just like the original ones were.
But I mean, that's a price thing. So for you can
get 2 Model 3s for the price of 1 Model S.
Right. So, exactly.
Unless you're going for an older Model 3 or older Model S and X.
Yeah, but they won't.
Yeah, but this is new car stats. So if you're looking at the new car stats and you're looking at it, of course, the lower the price point, the more people that can afford it. So they're obviously going to be more popular. And those are the cars that Tesla's going to be focusing on for their mass production, producing more of those than any of the other ones anyway.
Absolutely. And then during this chip shortage, we've seen right now that Tesla has put almost all of their effort into Model Y and whatever's left over into the new Model S refresh. And then the Model X, they've even delayed yet again. And the Model 3 is just getting whatever scraps are left that are exclusive to Model 3 and Y. So you're getting like a handful of Model 3s for every Model Y that gets out there. And it's just a matter of them balancing how much everything costs, how long everybody's been waiting. And I mean, if you're constrained in batteries and chips, and this one sells for 50,000 and this one sells for 40,000, it only makes sense to make as many of the 50,000s as you can if you're still selling 100% of whatever you make.
Yeah.
I
think the most creative part about this is the problem solving, whereas Tesla and Elon themselves managed to balance, like you said, Casey, but at the same time, Elon just goes, screw this, let's see if we can make a chip ourselves and completely set out to do that.
And they have. The only hard part is to manufacture your own chips. That's billions of dollars to manufacture your own chips. And I'm not saying they're not going to do it, but it's not likely anytime soon. The question, though, is will they buy a used plant that's like, say right now somebody's making 20 or 14 nanometer chips and everybody else has moved down to 7 nanometer chips. Well, now you've got a plant that makes 14 nanometer chips on the discount. So maybe Tesla buys one of them and just kind of
scales up quickly.
Exactly, works it around.
Tesla, but it is still a lot to refurbish a chip plant. You're still looking at billions.
Yeah, chip manufacturer is so much cleaner than medical devices manufacturer, which is already hard.
Which is another thing that Elon has tried to do at the onset of, or Tesla's tried to do at the onset of the pandemic. It was like, hey, we got HVAC and bioweapon defense mode. Let's see what we can do with that. And I was like, impressive.
Yeah, but the problem is the HVAC and bioweapon mode that he's got right now is hospital grade, and to get chips, you need to be beyond hospital grade. And that's hard. But we see them actually continuing to make progress towards their completion of Gigafactory Nevada. It still is shaped like a child's drawing of something. And
a Lego block. No, Tetris. That's it.
That's much more innocent than I was going for, but. So you can see that they are almost halfway done with the solar array, and this is now the largest rooftop array in the world already, and it's going to be even bigger when it's finished. What we hope to see is that rephrase that. People were complaining this is no longer going to be as big as they had planned, but the building isn't done yet, and if it's a rooftop array, you can only fill the roof. So until the factory is finished, they can't finish the array.
Right.
Well, I see some roof that's not covered yet. That's one thing.
Right, but prior to this, they had only gone this far, this first row, and then they said, "All right, let's put it in this row," and so now they're more than halfway done with the long side, which is almost halfway done with the whole building.
So what I see, I don't know if I attribute this to you, Casey, somewhere where I heard it, that the bigger issue is just that there's not enough people in Sparks that want to live there and work there.
Correct.
And so it's tough to build it out when they just can't get the workers to come in and work there.
Right. And I understand that. Yeah. I mean, if you build it, they won't necessarily come. But if you build it and then you don't fill it, now you've wasted money. And they don't have a lot of money to waste. But it's good to see them continue with that. And hopefully, well, actually, at this point, they might not even need the wind that they showed on the demo.
Wind?
Yeah, they were going to do wind power up on the hills.
That'd be impressive too. Then they might have an over surplus to be able to charge their employees' cars if they have Teslas and other.
They already charge employees' cars.
They already do that. So they
and third-party cars.
If they did win,
I could park it.
They do that too.
well, if they did win, then they could probably have enough surplus to be their own like power company. Provide power to
Nevada.
Sparks, Nevada,
out there for the employees to live in.
Right.
Yeah.
So they could get some people out there.
Yeah. That's the biggest problem. Is getting enough people to live out there so they have enough employees. It's like
exactly.
You let me build my own community, I'll be out there.
You still got to get the people in. So I think that's part of why they put so much effort into Austin, because there were already people there, and so they could fill all the roles they needed. So Electrek is reporting that Electrify America is going to implement 34 DC fast chargers in Southern California for heavy-duty trucks. And I keep saying, Tesla's not the only one with EV trucks. You've got Volvo, you've got... I just drew a blank right there. Daimler, you've got International. And so these are going to be focused on trucks. So these are actually going to be bigger than what you'll see for the passenger cars. But they're going to use the same CCS connector. Again, please?
You got Nikola Motors electric trucks.
No, you don't. they claim it. They claim it, but you don't get it.
They're the market leader in downhill trucking.
The leader in downhill trucking. Actually, though, there's a mining truck that actually has them beat. It's an EV truck. It's never plugged in, and what they do is the place where it dumps is at the bottom of the hill, and the mountain. It's a mountaintop mine, so it mines the mountain. So it drives up the mountain on EV power, completely empty, gets a load, and then it brings the load back down using regen braking, and. So it never. The only time that thing was charged was the very first trip where they sent it up the mountain, and after that, they've never plugged it in.
Yeah, it's like a perpetual motion machine.
Sort of,
because once it's loaded up, all that extra weight contributing to that to all that regen, they actually fill up everything they spent going up
enough to get back up.
Exactly. What's up, Nivri?
Hey, what's up, Nivri?
Me.
Andrew says he can move there and work as long as it's properly paid 6 weeks holiday, like here in Sweden, and I get free connection to the internet wherever in the world I am.
Yeah, that 6 weeks holiday thing, that's not really an American thing.
They'll give you stock. They
might give you free internet. You might be able to get some Starlink or something.
That's true.
They might hook you up. But yeah, that whole vacation thing, yeah. I wish.
Elon believes in the 80-hour work week. He doesn't actually demand that of anybody, but he would love it if anybody else were to join him in an 80-hour work week. So we touched on earlier. We touched on a unsolicited bid from the Boring Company for building a tunnel from the Fort Lauderdale downtown to the beach. And then what became of that was they had 45 days of open bidding for everybody else to jump in because it was unsolicited. Well, as we figured, 45 days has passed and nobody has come up with an offer that made any sense. And so the city is now getting ready to get into negotiations with the Boring Company on the specifics and the details of what they're going to get. And my cynical friend, Russell, he said that it was kind of coincidence that the mayor of Fort Lauderdale was at the Boring demo in Vegas. But he followed all the procedures. I'm fine with it.
So as I wasn't 100% sold on Boring Company until last night. My cousin was just telling me she wasn't in Fort Lauderdale, but she was in Vegas. And
did she write it?
Yeah, she wrote it.
Nice. Did she take a video?
Yeah. Actually, I think she does a video. I'll see if I can get it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, but she was there for conventions, talking about how far apart the different convention sites were. But you just jumped in a Tesla, and she talked about how nice it was, and you go down, and there's Teslas everywhere. You get in. There's still a driver that drives you through, and it was a very narrow tunnel, but he just keeps it centered and shoots on through. Yeah, she was really excited by it.
The autopilot is about to be enabled on Boring Loop, so I'm excited to see. I'm still gonna have a driver, but it's just gonna be regular autopilot, like we have you and me, all of us, when we just boop boop. Well, you guys boop boop, and I doot doot.
Yeah. It's confusing when you have both.
Right, that part.
But yes.
All right, so this one is a fun one for me because Mark and I and Omar have been seriously going after these service Teslas. NYPD has one of their own now. Hopefully they don't run any people over with it. They should. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I saw that one. Nice.
Yes. It says highway patrol, so this means it's not a meter maid.
Oh, okay.
Or sorry, what do they call it? Parking enforcement. I don't want to use the wrong terms.
That's interesting. So the city of New York has highway patrol?
Is that city or is that state?
NYPD. Usually
that's city.
There's the highway
that's city. Okay. Well, they have highways.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I'm curious what this $10,000 reward is about.
Zoom in on it. See if you can read it.
I'm zoomed in all the way.
Oh.
I guess we'd have to find another NYPD car and look at the bumper and see. Highway means they can catch you fast. I think not in New York. They're not moving fast on the highway.
I think in New York, because I've seen those 10K reward bumpers stickers in New York.
Yeah,
I think it's like a reward for like information leading to the arrest of people that have like murdered cops.
Crime
or something.
solvers. Okay.
Yeah,
I get behind that because you don't want stuff sitting on the shelf when you could be resolving stuff for the families. But I mean, so like we keep saying, every time there's a municipal service Tesla, is that these things idle a lot. We find that the costs are lower than even the cheapest like Dodge Chargers and stuff, and for fuel and for maintenance. And then if they ever have to do anything stealth, I don't know that stealth really matters downtown New York, but maybe if you get out from it a little bit, you don't want them to hear you coming. And there we go. Let's see here. This one was an interesting one to me. So Eric Barger is reporting that with Blue Origin is continuing their pursuit of suing NASA, and they have gone with the folks that were involved in the Jedi contracting process. For those of you that don't know, Microsoft actually beat Amazon on what they thought was a sure deal for a multi-billion-dollar computing contract for the federal government. And all of a sudden, Microsoft came out of left field and won the bid. Jeff Hu happens to think that this is because the previous president didn't care for himself as Jeff Hu. And so they gave it to Microsoft. But So far, everything has come up that, yes, it was fine, but Amazon just kept suing and suing and suing the government to the point where they torpedoed the whole project. And now it's being redesigned. And so the same thing happened again with the well, they're trying to make it happen again with Blue Origin losing the moon contract to SpaceX. And so we see they're using the same players, and hopefully they don't have the same success in throwing wrenches in the gears.
So then that means Elon was right, and Jeff, retired to pursue his full-time career in suing.
Exactly. So Elon responds to this article, and he says he should consider spending some of that money on actual lunar lander hardware instead of shady lobbyists.
Right.
He has every right to be salty on this one because he won it. They won the objection, because what happens with these contracts is you can object if you think that it wasn't done right, and then that then forces them to actually do an investigation. And the investigation came back that everything was above board, and then they started to do it again, and then NASA has asked SpaceX to hold up on receiving the money, any additional money, because remember they already got, $100 million in their account, and for them to go through all these processes. So I love it when this is a response, always the deflated blue moon demo.
Yes, I love that one.
Yes. What's Scott Manley say? It's never a good look when your first option is resort to lawyers. Exactly. Oh, and then they're talking about the thermal tiles.
It's like, how about just focus on making your products competable? Yeah, I mean, like at a level that you can compete. And if your competition is doing something better, you know what? Spend a little bit more in that R&D, step your game up, make yours better. And if you have the better thing, they're going to want to go to the better thing.
Yep. And then we've got SpaceX is trying to do their public notice for the next phase of Starlink. But that's having a little bit of difficulty because of the legal troubles. So Michael Sheets is reporting that SpaceX has responded to Amazon's request that the FCC dismiss the Starlink Gen 2 amendment, calling it a continuation of efforts by the Amazon family of companies to hinder competitors, and referencing Blue Origin's lawsuit against NASA. And there were a couple of key, just awesome little bits in here, and I wanted to highlight them. So, he highlighted them for us, and I wanted to also highlight them. So Amazon's recent missive is unfortunately only the latest in its continuing efforts to slow down competition while neglecting to resolve the Commission's concerns about Amazon's own non-geostationary satellite system. So they're saying, hey, they can't even get their own stuff straight, and they're looking at us. But while Amazon has filed nothing with the Commission to address these conditions on its own license for nearly 400 days, it only took 4 days to object to SpaceX's next generation system. So 400 days, you can't talk about your own problems, but 4 days and you can read through and breeze through SpaceX's and have problems with it. So while Amazon waited 15 months to explain how their own system works, it has lodged objections to SpaceX on average about every 16 days this year. So it seems that the Blue Origin's job right now so far is to reverse engineer the SpaceX system through legal filings.
and launch it into space, and they launch it to the tip of space.
They don't even have a rocket.
What rocket they do have, and it's weird shape.
No, that rocket is for tourism. That rocket can't launch a satellite into space.
and you can't get to the ISS. You came in interdock your rocket to the ISS to properly connect and come back down. Only thing you can do is reach you can get the tip.
Well,
that's
for
how
the stuff
much you can do.
For the stuff that Jeff Hu is suing for, they don't need to reach ISS, but they actually need to get beyond it, because you need to get to the Artemis space station, and I'm sure what you call the lunar Lagrange point, and then for the satellite system, you need to actually be able to put a payload in space, and they haven't been to space yet.
That's amazing to me, though. Like, how can you sue something for something you have not done yet? Like,
well, I mean, you can sue for anything in this country, but why does he think he has standing? Is the question?
You're suing because you're not getting the contract to do something that you have not proven the ability to do.
Yeah. They won't give us the contract, even though we can't get you there.
I don't get it.
I'm taking my ball and going home. If I can't do it, nobody can. So he continues to highlight with the commission should recognize this key delay tactic for what it is: a continuation of efforts by the Amazon family of companies to continue to hinder competitors to compensate for Amazon's failure to make progress of its own. Amazon's maneuvering is familiar to anyone who's watched Amazon or its sister companies. This is why I started with the Jedi situation. And Blue Origin's messy fight with NASA is actually delaying a U.S. moon landing effort. And yeah, so they would rather us not complete the mission at all than them not get their $10 billion that they want.
Ridiculous.
Right? Amazon. Exactly. Amazon next makes the conclusory statement that if the commission were to accept SpaceX's amendment, it would encourage speculative applications and fail to ensure that the applicant is ready and willing to construct a satellite it proposes in its application. But Amazon cannot explain how providing information to the commission about an alternative configuration would encourage speculation. The next highlight is, as Amazon's former chief executive has said in the past, procedural maneuvers like the one Amazon now deploys have become the bigger bottleneck than the technology. So he knows what he's doing. So what all of this is about is that SpaceX actually put in what they want to do, and then they said, hey, if you won't let us do this, this is what we want to do as a backup. And Amazon is saying that SpaceX didn't give enough information because they gave too much information. So they're making it as if they were indecisive. They didn't know what they want to do. They know exactly what they want to do. They want to do option A. And if the FCC, FAA, NASA, everybody says no, then hey, we would like to do option B, please. And then here's everything on option B. But because they have an option B, Amazon is saying that, or Blue Origin is saying that
So it's a problem because they have an option B.
Yeah.
And they're saying that option B isn't detailed enough.
No, option B and option A are both fully fledged out. But they're saying
it's because they're saying, oh, you guys don't know what you want to do. You don't know if you want to do this or this, and you're conflating them.
That's most of their argument. And then they're saying that because option B exists, that they don't know what they're doing, they're also saying that means that they don't have enough detail. When everything is fully detailed, just pick one. So now we see why the other guy didn't actually like Jeff, among other things, from being a real billionaire.
And now Richard Branson is this level of bad. He's just like, I want to do stuff.
Actually, I like the way that Richard just went ahead and beat him by a week into space.
And that's the cheapest petty to do.
That was
right.
Yeah, that was.
and they said we weren't trying to race them. We were ready, so we went.
That was such a petty flex.
It was. So this may look like something we've seen in the past in China. At the DMV, the lines around the corner of Teslas. But if you look closely, these aren't Model 3s around the corner. These are Model Ys all around the corner. So now, now that everybody's received their Chinese Model Ys in China, they're all trying to get them registered so they can actually put them on the road. And
wow.
And yet again, the line goes around the building, around the block, and these people are lined up before the DMV is even open, so they can drive their cars in peace.
Literally in peace. No saying.
Right. I'm surprised that they don't actually have. I don't know if China would allow this, but I'm surprised they don't have like a branch office, like they just have an administrator sitting there with the printers and whatever else they need, the computer terminal, to just register them at the factory and just pick them up and then you're ready to go. I think that would be more efficient. I don't know if the Chinese local government will allow that sort of thing, but I know that if this has happened before when I sold cars in South Carolina. If you sold enough cars per month, they would just put a DMV terminal in your building. They wouldn't staff it with DMV staff, but they would train one or two people at your location on how to do everything correctly. And as long as you didn't have any anomalies, you got to keep pre-registering everything directly into the system. And the minute you had any anomalies, that stuff was yanked out, and you were in deep poo-poo.
So, is there like a drive-through registration here?
I think you have to bring the car, and then they give you your plates, put the sticker on, but because, there are a lot of them, there's just not enough room. So they go around the block.
We do like a registration and inspection at the same time or something.
I think so. And then in the past with the Model 3s, we've seen at the end of this line, at the head of the line, there's like 2 or 3 pop-up tents, and the people are outside of the DMV, actually, because they're trying, but there's just so many cars that they can't keep up. Absolutely, it sure was. High Voltage was saying that was funny.
It's a good problem to have. Good problem to have.
It is. And so I guess we'll see this again at the end of the year because we saw it 3 or 4 quarters in a row with the Model 3s in China. So there's no reason to expect we won't see that with the Model Ys.
All those end of quarter deliveries.
Yes.
Which I wish they wouldn't do these end of quarter pushes, these end of quarter deliveries. I wish they would just space that out throughout the entire quarter. But I get that what they're doing is they're clumping up their deliveries where they're just like doing them in batches because it's probably cheaper to transport stuff that way or push them
if you fill up the whole ship or the whole train, then you get a better deal than if you do a partial load. And because the trains and the ships take time to get where they're going, they do those first as priority. That way they end up hitting by the end of the quarter. And then as they run out of time to ship in time, then they start doing the local orders. So it'll be the China cars in China versus the kind of China cars in Europe. And they'll do instead of the Fremont cars all over the world, they'll do the Fremont cars in the U.S. And then as the last month comes up, they'll only do Fremont cars in California, Washington, and Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not shipping any cars, 3s or Ys, to Shanghai from Fremont anymore, are they?
Very, very rare. Every now and then you'll see a performance hit there or something like that, but it's super rare because they can make a performance car in China now. It wasn't that way at first.
So I would say all of these that's in line in that last picture, those are all from Shanghai.
Yeah, from Shanghai to local to China.
Okay.
Yep.
Which makes sense because of the taxes, tariffs, and all that, and plus transporting. It just makes sense, to have them built locally.
Right.
It's more cost effective.
Yes. So Michael Sheets is reporting that on CNN they had a local Navy intelligence officer was saying, why don't they just flood Afghanistan with Starlink so that there's a way for us to maintain communication with our Afghan partners? So then Scott Manley says, yeah, they just need to find a friendly neighboring country that wants to help with the U.S. fight the Taliban so they can deploy a downlink station. Because the current satellites right now, they are not satellite to satellite except for the polar satellites. They have the laser links that can talk to each other. So right now what's happening is in each cell that's covered, your satellite bounces it up and back down to Earth in one hop. So it's not actually anywhere near its final form, which is part of why the speeds aren't quite where we were expecting them to be at gigabit wireless, basically. And then Elon responds to Scott and says, our satellites launching in the next few months have inter-satellite links, so no local downlink is needed. Probably active in 4 to 6 months.
But in Elon time, that means what, 2 years?
Don't forget that on SpaceX, they have a Gwen Shotwell, so it's a lot closer to what Elon actually says when it comes to space.
Yeah, that is his primary. Yeah, you're right. That's a primary baby right there.
Yes, and so then Michael Sheets asks, how does transmitting into a country without a local downlink work on the regulatory side? Because we've seen this before. Right now, each of the SpaceX countries that are serviced actually have a local. So like if I take whenever I get my dish, if I take my dish and I take it to Canada or Mexico, it won't work at all because my dish is registered to the U.S. and so when it tries to do the hop, it won't hop back down into Mexico or hop into Canada. So he's asking, well, what happens now that you don't need that, right? You don't need the hops. And Elon says, they can shake their fists at the sky. I think this will cause them consternation when it comes to China, North Korea, and all the other states that are filtering their internet heavily. So then Jason brings up that same point. He says that makes Starlink a target for state actors, especially authoritarian regimes. Might actually make the internet more secure if they're focusing on playing cat and mouse with the world's best engineers. Jennifer says, I doubt that the Taliban has the world's best engineers. And I agree, but we're talking much bigger places than the Taliban.
Like
we're
China,
talking North Korea, China, Russia. I was referring to SpaceX engineers versus state actors like China and Russia, several others who actively perform offensive cyber operations worldwide. And we've actually seen this with Tesla. Tesla hired away Apple's head of security, and the first thing she did when she arrived was she shut everything down and made them sign all their packages, so that way you didn't have any unsigned code running on the cars, which is very important because if you have unsigned code, then there's no way to verify who wrote it and that's coming from the right place. So it was possible, but nobody did it, to more easily hack the cars or just take a car and then put your own software on it and then send it back into the wild. So now that even if you have your hands on the car, it's a lot harder to do, which was also important because they ended up opening a factory in China, and China isn't known for respecting intellectual property rights, at least outside of their own borders, as we saw with Xpeng, allegedly. These are the ones who won't really be happy with freely available internet bypassing their government-controlled firewalls and filtering. They'll likely shift resources from normal bad stuff to bad stuff directed at Starlink to stop this. And this guy thinks that VPNs will stop you. And Jason says this is true to an extent, Tor as well, but they have the means to stop a big chunk of it, and they don't so far. Starlink is a different animal and much harder to stop since there's no cables running through the government-owned equipment. And if you start shooting down satellites, then you've got a war on your hands because that's against all sorts of international treaties. Yeah. So then our friends at the Tesla Life, I'm assuming Mark is doing this, is asking if any of us have seen a sign like this on a supercharger. Next supercharger in Salute site, St. Mary, in 225 kilometers. Charging 100% is recommended. Destination charging is available in the Botswana Bay at 160 kilometers.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, if you can't make it, there's a level 2 out this way.
But I don't like, the reason I don't like this sign is, signs, it's not like software, right?
Right.
So signs is something that you have to physically go out and change the sign and all that. And because they're building out the supercharger network so quickly and they keep making new superchargers, now these signs are going to be like inaccurate.
Out of date, exactly.
And it's like they constantly got to keep going out and changing signs. Like it just, it's a great idea in theory. And maybe it should be something that pops up on your Tesla screen and tells you when you get there, like when you get to the supercharger, like, hey, by the way, this, maybe give you that information, which is great information to have. But
right. Like, hey, the station's remote, check your map. That would be because your map will already know. And Peter agrees with you. He says it might make sense in that location to reduce the number of folks getting stranded, especially in the winter, but 100% is overkill in some Teslas and definitely advisable in others. Because this is Canada we're talking about, so it gets cold.
And right, that's another good point. Like there's different, depending on which car you have, different amount of range that you have. You don't need 100% in a lot of them now for that distance.
The easiest way for this to fix is to make it digital, something that you can upload and change the actual thing. So
it's easy, but is it more or less expensive?
Yeah. So if you
and then it's still cheaper to just say, hey, look at your map. Look at the map of the car, please. I got a message for you.
Right. You already have that.
The car already does that.
Have a big screen
in
the car.
But here's the thing. If you're opening up to third parties like Dionix, any other Ford Lightning, whatever, if you open it up to third parties and they don't have the type of heads-up display that...
Fair enough. But then they still have the app, though. And it would say you don't have enough range to go. Because the station knows how much you.
But then at that point, that's on them to have to calculate that and figure that out. And then maybe that's another selling point as an advantage. Why, hey, buy a Tesla and you don't have that problem. Figures it out for you.
When you charge between superchargers, that's when you stop and get a Tesla next time.
Right. Well, now that they've updated the Tesla app, it's probably just a matter of time. So at that point, if we look in our app, and in fact, even on the new app, they've actually made it better at determining when you should leave or if you should stay for a little while longer. The car knows what the percentage is, not just because it's a Tesla, but like in any DC fast charger you plug in, it says, hey, you're at 40%, because it has to know how to help the car taper when the car asks for it. If they just put in there, hey, you're in a Ford Mach-E, it's wintertime, you're going to need to stay here for another 10 minutes, this might do the trick for them.
That works if your phone has actually downloaded the new app, which mine still has not.
Mine either.
Mine either.
But no, I'm saying like if you come in with a third party car, because in the Tesla car, even without the new app, it still says, hey, minutes to complete your trip. 10 minutes, right?
Right. The Tesla will tell you how long you have to charge, what how many minutes left and whatnot, how much range you need, and then it'll tell you, at what percentage you're going to arrive at your next location. Exactly. Other car makers aren't doing that. They're not as
right. But it would behoove Tesla to take that stat coming from the supercharger. Hey, you're on 3C, right? All right, so 3C is at 40%. You should charge for another 10% or another 10 minutes or whatever it says. Because then that actually is a value add to their service. Like why you should pick a Tesla supercharger over an Electrify America or a ChargePoint or whoever, aside from the cost. I think that'd be smart on their part.
What's funny? That sign reminds me of I had seen when I was out west somewhere. I forget where.
Yeah, I said that too. It was like, hey, next year in Texas, next gas station, 200 miles.
Like a sign that said, yeah, next gas station, 100 miles or whatever, or 200 miles or something like that. And, so it's warning you, hey, gas up here because it's the last one you're going to see for a while.
You're going to be stuck. Yeah. I saw that in Texas once. It's like next stop, 200 miles. I was like, oh, my goodness.
I see that all the time here in California.
Oh, they have there too?
Down to L.A. But I guess when I think about it in the Tesla, because the car's already giving me that information.
Exactly.
Right. So,
and I remember, when I first got a Tesla years ago, I didn't have that sign necessarily, but because the car is basically mapping you to the superchargers, you knew the next one I'm going to is over here, and this is the distance. And by the way, I need to charge up to get there because they were spaced out. They were kind of sparse. It wasn't the supercharger network wasn't as robust as it was.
Holiday, so
absolutely. All right, so next we've got another Elon tweet. Okay, so Aaron is asking, can we get an update on the Roadster now that the Plaid with Tri-Motors is out? Elon responded, 2021 has been the year of the super crazy supply chain shortages, so it wouldn't matter if we had 17 new products as none would ship. Assuming 2022 is not mega drama, then the new Roadster should ship in 2023. And the reasoning for that is that Model Y out of Berlin and Austin are number one priority. And then Cybertruck is coming out of Terra, Texas. So they don't have any extra resources to mess around with a Roadster because the second-gen Model Y is a whole new engineering effort. The Cybertruck is a completely new car. It's not even like the refreshed Model S and X or the refreshed Model Y where you're just tweaking an existing design and then making sure you can build it. It's a clean slate. So you not only have to engineer it correctly and make sure that the factory can build it, it's also using new processes because they're bending metal instead of stamping it. And it's going to take all of their engineering efforts, so they don't have enough left over to make sure they do Roadster correctly. So the only people who I've seen who are really upset about this are the people who, not even all of them, but some of the people who won free Roadsters, or I should say 100% discounts on Roadsters, because they still got to pay tax. And like I said, not all of them. Some of them are understanding. They're like, hey, this means that when I finally get it, it'll be better. I would be a little upset if I was one of the people who was buying a Roadster and already put my 250 down with a wire, because you had to put the first 50 in within 7 days, and then you had to put the other 200 in very quickly afterwards. And
if you drop 250 down already,
you could put that money in Tesla stock.
And you're like, man, I could put that money in Tesla stock, and I'd have like 2 million.
Exactly. Yes. So Frank Poppy says that doesn't hope that upset the free Roadster winners. I hate Tesla now. There are some that have flipped, and it's a little weird, but
it's free.
It's mostly free.
Okay, mostly free, but they've literally done it.
He says, I hope Tesla introduces not a Roadster, which is awesome, while the haters get their promised Roadsters, which is handmade and abandoned a lot of factory with novice welding students and painted with rollers and house paint.
That's ingenious.
Okay, that's not cool. That's not cool. Don't single one out. There are a couple of them. Let's not singling them out. All right, so then Tesla Audi is reporting on it, and
I think one of the biggest things, and I keep coming back to this, is I mean, yes, the manufacturing process and everything is an issue. And right now there's a worldwide chip shortage and all that that's affecting all cars. But on top of all of that, batteries.
Yep.
They have to have those 4680s out, and they have to be able to mass produce a ridiculous amount of batteries.
And this is even before the chip shortage, because the chip shortage is affecting ICE vehicles too.
Yep. And I didn't even mention the elephant in the room.
Right.
You've got all these multi-billion-dollar companies waiting on their semi-trucks.
Right.
So we're talking about 3 brand new products. They don't have time for a toy, which is a really nice toy, but they've got 2 trucks, one regular size truck and one massive truck, and then their bread and butter, the Model Y, all need to be done next year. Because you can only hang on to them for so long before they say, I'm getting a Daimler.
Yeah, right. And you're the leader, so they literally threw that much money into these. These people done sight unseen based on Tesla's history alone of the X, S, Y, and
I think
3,
the only thing saving them from mad drama on the Semi right now is that all these same companies are having problems with supply chain right now, so they get it. They're just frustrated that we could be saving this much on diesel right now because diesel is through the roof every time there's a hurricane or a shortage.
Or a hack.
Or that, yeah.
That too.
So Martin says, as a shareholder, I don't really care if it's delayed. Cybertruck is far more important. That said, it's a mean-looking machine. I agree 100%, Martin. Good words.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, so let's get into some.
Cybertruck and the Semi, those 2, huge.
Exactly.
Just imagine it rolling out of the Semi like it was in the.
Well, the Roadster rolled out of the Semi. That will be interesting to see. I don't think they could pull that trick twice. So let's get into some Elon tweets. Max in Germany, he's on the Autobahn, the A2 near Magdeburg, says, I'm sure I just butchered that, I'm sorry. He says, this morning, coming from Austria, might be headed to Hamburg or Rotterdam Port. I saw what looks like a future transport vehicle getting ready for Starship with the launch pad. Any ideas? And so he shows these pictures that he took on the road.
Oh, that is a SpaceX.
That's the SpaceX logo right there.
Yes, it is. With huge tracks.
Yeah, I'm guessing it was at a service center because there's no way he took that while driving unless he rolled on by and it was in the lot like a fuel station. Or something.
Nah, it looks parked.
Yeah, he did it on autopilot.
Yeah, oh, there he is. It's definitely at a service station.
Yeah, that's parked. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it might be.
Nah.
Either way, one of them was getting back on the highway when he saw this. So, like at the what do we call them? The rest stops.
Yes.
So then he gets a reply. He says, "Our new crane!" It's Elon. "Our new crane!" Exclamation mark. And Everyday Astronaut says, "I was about to call your bluff, thinking it was the treads for the chopsticks, assumed to be flipped upside down for maximum translation potential. But then I realized the logo was already painted in standard orientation." I replied to this one. Am I going to be at the top because I replied?
Nope.
Of course not. Thanks, Twitter. So anyway, my response was, Elon also gets excited about seeing his stuff on the road on his way to him, like we all do.
Especially if
or at least
he
I do.
hadn't mentioned it previously.
No, he didn't.
But out in the world.
But he also confirmed that it's not a transport track. It's not like going to move the rocket or anything. This is a crane. So it's not like a crawler. Was what I'm saying. It's not
that's
like
a track for a crane. I mean, that's going to be a huge crane.
It's going to be a huge crane. It's taking up the whole truck. And that's not a standard length truck either.
No.
Right.
And it's just one. There was no second one. so there's more somewhere.
Right. There's definitely more somewhere.
Like, with that, he could probably build his own plants anywhere with enough space necessary. Just fabricate it and just set them into place and just keep going.
Exactly.
And then start to replicate faster. Where other companies have to take over older warehouses and then improve from there.
So while Germo says 71.9%, exclamation, of new car sale in Norway in August was an electric vehicle. A new record, Model Y is on top. And then what appears to be a blank chart until I click it. And then we can see 2021 right here. 2020 actually was really nice. So now we have already exceeded 2020 halfway through the year. Look at that. And 2020 just topped the heck out of 2019. Elon Musk says, Norway for the win. Norway flag and heart emoji. K10 Kristen is asking, looking forward to the new paint colors coming out of Giga Berlin Paint Shop.
I keep seeing FTK. Sorry.
And Elon replied to her, "I was in the Berlin paint shop. Talking to the team on my last visit. It's going to be great. But bear in mind that it takes about a year for a new factory to reach volume production. Production is super hard work, which is why I have great respect for those who do it." So that means that if Berlin and Texas are online in December, then it'll be next December before we see them pumping out Fremont and China level volumes. Because remember, we just saw China do 500,000 last year, and then this year we saw them reach the rate of 500,000 Model Ys. So they're at almost 1 million cars in China right now. And Fremont was already at 1 million cars, roughly. They were like 700,000 cars. So our predictions of them topping 1 million cars this year looks like they have just stomped that record and moved on to 2 million. And we'll see at the end of the year what they end up doing. Remembering that they are in massive part shortage, so this could take a turn for the worse, but it looks like they are ready to do it.
Yeah, that whole part shortage thing, that's hurting everybody. You know, we just saw what GM shut down their plants.
Yep, GM and Ford.
Yeah, like everybody's hurting. So
yes, Toyota and Honda have taken pauses several times this year.
And we just take into account that this is the most sensible tweet that he's put out. Like it legitimately he just stated something else true. He's like, I have much respect for the people trying to get into production. I'm like, this is not a controversial tweet. Like you don't understand how impressive that is from Elon. I was like, this is a really good tweet. It's impressive coming from Elon. It's a really good tweet.
Well, he has a bunch of them. It's just you gotta get past the media. Robert is saying that he watched the video of the factory and the shorts are saying it was fake stuff. I don't know how they could possibly fake a video like that. It was like 10 minutes of just good stuff from in Germany. I don't know. These people live in another world, Robert. So Dan shared this story with us of until 2023, new cars are sparse at Ohio dealerships. Part shortage will keep auto prices sky high, and that's coming from Fox 8.
And that's true. I mean, I've seen it here locally. Just driving past local, car dealerships and stuff, seeing how sparse their lot is. And
it looks like they closed.
Yeah, it's like normally these car dealerships, they have tons and tons of cars, and I'm looking, I'm like, are they still in business? Oh, okay, I guess.
Absolutely. So this one's not an Elon tweet, but it still tweets. So I put it in my tweets grouping for the show. Our friend Rich, he was tweeting about putting the final touches on our new test spot video on Sunday. So this is after the show is done. He'll have a premiere probably a couple minutes to a couple hours after we finish here. And so he's got this this photo here. And I said, will it be as cringe or more cringe than the dance on AI Day? Oh, and then Rich said, nothing cringe about Uncle Rich's Tesla robot.
Oh, my God.
Oh. As soon as I see the news about bots, what I thought it was Rich rebuilds. What's he going to do with these? So I'll definitely be watching this after this show. I like his humor. Oh, wow. Dan's got distractions in the background. So then our friends at Drive Tesla Canada found this, and my friend Mark Coughlin at the Tesla Life found it for me because I didn't see it. He thought it was me. There was an unauthorized Tesla entered the Las Vegas Loop tunnels in June as the company prepares to introduce autopilot into the tunnel. And the guy said that he saw all these Teslas going down into the tunnel, and he figured that the charger must be around here somewhere. He drove around the security gate and past all like the flower pots and bollards and just walls. And just driving his Tesla in the tunnel, and then he gets to the second station, and people are like, "What are you doing in here?"
Right.
So then they escorted him out, and so my comparison was I compared him with Wrong Way Doug, where he left from New York or JFK or whatever it was at the time. He left from New York and was supposed to be headed to California, and he ended up landing in Dublin. And for the rest of his time, he's always in the. I must have got turned around, even though like it was his lifelong dream to fly to Dublin from, or not to Dublin, but to Ireland from the U.S. Everybody said, "Oh yeah, wait, what really happened?" And he's like, "No, for real, I just got lost." So I'm wondering if this was like that. So they've
they need to step up their security measures if people are just able to do that.
Right. So they've increased.
That could have been a problem.
It could have been a problem. So they have increased security, reviewed the protocols. The only thing I can think is like maybe it looked like one of the boring vehicles because they are using just standard Teslas, so it must have been the correct model. And maybe they're wondering why the sign was missing. The boring sign on the side. And I bet what happened is they got to the second site and said, "You're not Cindy. And where are your passengers?" It doesn't have a number on the front, so the customers know which car to get into. So it's humorous, and as Omar said, it's super important that we do it the right way, because this is just like a train station, bus station, airport. There are bad people out there that will take advantage of any lapses in security to cause terror.
And for all we know, this could have been a recon mission. It could have
been Jeff Who.
No. So but my thing is like that this had real potential to be a real serious, security problem.
It could have been a dry run, so they could see what they're going to do, and if they don't change stuff for next time, or don't change enough stuff for next time, then somebody could go rent a Model 3 on Turo and then make a mess. And I'm not trying to give ideas, but that's off the top of my head, and evil people would easily think of something like that, and then so much worse. So,
and not the best things that come from a tunnel at all. If you look at the UK, not the best things come from a tunnel. So,
right. So, as Drive Tesla Canada says, they've stepped it up, and things will be better going forward. Next up, Sawyer Merritt has got some stuff going on. Well, he doesn't have stuff. He knows of some stuff that's going on with Tesla. And this isn't the one you think it is, if you know what I'm talking about. This isn't the one you think it is. Boom! He says that I've been told by a source the Model S and X no longer have radar. Full vision is now implemented, and the website will be updated to reflect this. And he's asking when they're going to implement vision-only AP across the vehicle lineup, and didn't get an answer. I'm guessing really soon, based on what we're about to hear from Elon coming up in the show. And then this guy's asking Green the Only what he thinks. We were thinking these models would keep the radar, because Tesla told us when they took the radar out, they said S and X and non-US cars would keep the radar for the foreseable future. But Tesla's foreseeable future is very short sometimes.
That was the foreseeable future. He didn't say how long that foreseeable future was.
But okay, so here's the
until they were confident.
When I first saw that they were going to go by vision only, I was a little bit skeptical, paying attention to how the LiDAR radar works in most cases where people use where your vision is failing. However, once the chip AI day came out to have that predictive rhythm of, okay, based on our vision and our previous experiences, we know how to move. While it is scary, now I have more confidence in the vision-based camera system, because
I think that was part of the reason they gave us so many details at AI Day. It was because so many of us are out there driving these things. They wanted us to feel comfortable with what they were doing and know that the car knew what it was doing on some level, that we could be comfortable with it before they pulled the radar from everything.
And after seeing AI Day, I'm not surprised by this at all. Yeah, because it was super impressive what they were doing with the vision only stuff, and it only makes sense. It only makes sense.
Exactly.
Like the moment they said it could predict if there's a gap in between cars to move, like if you know there's a car in front of the car that you see, or you can go around that car without too much. It calculates the ability for the car size. And we can see all the accidents. Most accidents happen with Teslas when another ICE vehicle has miscalculated the space they have to move. Whereas you have this machine who's taken all the data that it sees, calculating from memory of what it has to pass, evade an accident, L this and say, hey, there's a stop sign that's supposed to be there, and legitimately stop before you know in a new area where you are, and adjust for crashes based on vision sight alone. Yes, that's impressive. Now
it's not just the crashes though. Like he showed us in the AI day that they are modeling the physics, so they can tell that the car is going to have potential to have an impact with you, and it just won't even get into the space. So you don't even have to worry about are they going to hit me. It just won't go
and
there.
that's an intuitive thing that, like, yesterday I was driving from one side of Atlanta to the other, and I hear two cars racing each other. I know one car doesn't have the gap to speed past me because of the next traffic, so I let off the gas to give them enough space to go through. The fact that a Tesla will be able to do that, noticing the next ICE car is not going to slow down and just give the car some space to avoid an accident, that's impressive. I don't think when you have to give people a scenario to explain that, they go, oh, that's dope. And I'm like, that's crazy. So there are moments where Elon's like, Elon, you better explain something really quick.
I saw a bunch of geniuses on I-95 North day before yesterday. It was 2 BMWs, an Audi, and a Mustang. They kept stopping all lanes.
Cars.
The Mustang's not expensive, and these were old BMWs. One was newer, but still old. It wasn't brand new. These geniuses were stopping all lanes of traffic, and then racing, and then they'd stop again, and then they were racing. And I got on the tail of the fastest one and just stuck to his bumper, and then eventually they decided they were going to get off the road. We're being tailed by a mommy bus.
What was that? I called it bumping. Or no,
I didn't want to touch them because I can't afford to repair my car.
No, when you're on somebody pushing. That's why I used to call pushing. When you're on somebody so much.
I was just showing them they weren't poop.
Yeah, just showing them like, that's not impressive. Yes, I can keep up with you too.
Not only was I behind you, I surpassed.
And you got you got the Model X. You got the big, right, like soccer mom van looking thing.
Right. And since so many of these people don't actually know what a Tesla is, it looked like the police cruiser was just kind of riding his butt, and he's like, I'm gonna leave. Because that's what they usually confuse me for when they try to cut me off, because they know that the Ford Explorer in black can't move all that fast. Not because of the black, but it's because of the Ford Explorer. And then when they see me just like, oh shoot, he teleported. I'm out.
Or in Dragon Ball Z term, instant transmission. And
that's what it looks like. So Green says, as far as I know, no Model X deliveries for a while, which is true. We're looking at February, March right now. As far as the Model S, the Tesla website still lists the old info that the radar is not removed yet. So I'm wondering which country or which site Sawyer was looking at, or if that was coming from one of the people who does the web team saying that they're going to take it off. Cause
maybe that's coming soon, and they just
right, because Sawyer's got a lot of sources. Yeah. And so as far as he knows, that they're still not removed yet. Anybody actually seen a radarless Model S delivered? And Wanda asked, how would you know? Respectfully asking, I'm no Sandy Monroe. But speaking of that, you can take the bumper off and look for the radar emitter and receiver. But if you don't want to take your bumper off, Green says at present, radarless cars have very visible autopilot limitations. They can't go 85, for one. or they can't go 90. Either way, they can't go full speed.
They're limited to 80 max.
80, okay. And a following distance of 3 is the closest you can get.
3 is the closest, yes.
Yep. She asked, like, phantom braking. I have radar and have experienced that. I have now, too, now that they've been changing the code. Way more than I have in the last couple of years. A lot less aggressive than it was. And definitely like it used to be at bridges, shadows, railroad crossings, big signs. But I was phantom free for over a year. He says, no, the max autopilot is limited to 80 and you can't go below 3 following distance. That's what I just said.
So my vision-only car does... It doesn't have a lot. It's not a lot of phantom braking, but what it does is when it brakes hard. So it's not. It's like you can visibly see why it's braking. Like you'll know why it's braking. It's like, okay, that car further up in front of me is slowing down because he's going to turn. He's or whatever, and the car just brakes really hard when it doesn't really have to.
Exactly.
So that right now is what it's doing right this second. But hopefully with I'll get the update soon. And
so Passion and Mark had good questions for Mark. They were asking, are they not putting the radar in at all, or are they just turning them off? And he thinks that they're not putting them in at all, which would make sense. And Mark is asking when, what VIN number or what date. And he can check his Model S on Thursday, and he's going to see if they can't figure out when and where. And I'll try to keep an eye on it and let you guys know. So I've got a source that we don't typically see here for this next one because, well, it's not a gadget site, even though I'm a techie. This is coming from Windows Central, of all places. Microsoft implements giant vacuum cleaner tech dedicated to reducing carbon emissions. So what they're referring to here is carbon capture. I don't know if that's what Microsoft called it. I doubt it. I think that they're just making it accessible to their readers who are tech heads rather than environmental nuts like us. And so Microsoft, Audi, and Coca-Cola are now invested heavily in new carbon capture technology, and not everybody thinks this is practical, but it doesn't matter if it's practical. Microsoft is on a mission to erase all of their carbon footprint ever. And then when they achieve that goal, they're going to erase all of their customers' carbon footprint from using Windows and all their other products ever. So they need to go carbon negative, not carbon neutral, not net zero carbon, negative. So
how does this carbon vacuum work? Like, okay, so it's somehow sucking the carbon out of the air, right?
Yeah.
And then where is it put? Where is it storing it? Where does it put it? What does it do with that carbon once it
well,
collects
what you want to do is remove it from the atmosphere. So you've seen like the liquid air where they get like helium and liquid oxygen and everything just from they take it from the air rather than any other like cracking any other substances like water or whatever. So they just vacuum it in the air, and then they same way that you refine oil, like everything's got a different boiling point. So you can actually get the carbon, you can get the oxygen, you can get everything out. And then what they want to do is then sequester that carbon. So either they combine it with something else to make a product. So like if you put it in certain materials, they can form a different element, not element, obviously different molecule, and you can use that to do construction. You can just bury it in the ground and hope nobody opens it up again, or you can use it kind of like we do with trees right now. Trees are carbon neutral if you grow them and then cut them down and then use them again. That carbon stays there for the most part, but if you put it in something durable, then it will last for a while. So, or you can like put it in your carbonated beverages. doesn't keep them out of the air for long, but it does get them out of the air. That way you're not making fresh carbon to do it. So I was just amused that it was.
I mean, that makes sense. You can definitely chemically, change it, make it into something else, use it, make it something useful. There's different ways of using it.
Exactly. But Bill Gates and the others are really keen on just like putting it in a cave and letting it rot. The cool thing is if you put it in the right type of cave, it can actually combine with the rocks that are already in there. I think it's like how you get limestone and calcium, whatever. We'll see if they do a good job of it. All right, so back to the Elon tweets. Elon says that FSD Beta 10 rolls out midnight Friday next week. So
that's for the beta testers, not for
the beta testers.
General consumers.
Yeah, it's on the 10th for the beta testers. He says it looks promising that beta 10.1, about 2 weeks later, will be good enough for public opt-in request button. So if this is a real 2 weeks and not an Elon 2 weeks, then we are looking at the 24th for us to get the button.
So you'll get your button in 3 weeks. Okay.
Allegedly.
So, right, exactly.
Do you have any updates for the approval for Canadian users? 10.1 is expansion to all early access, please. Are the visuals changed? Are they the same? What's your favorite FSD 10 improvements? So I think Elon responded to this one. Okay, no, he didn't. He responded to one similar to that. I've got it coming up. So he wants it to get to all of early access, and Elon says that's the aspiration, but we need to be very cautious. Safety is always paramount at Tesla. And yeah, I agree, Vicky.
Okay, that's not right.
Can you get it to use the HOV toll lanes and exits? It doesn't seem to use that with GPS in Washington. It also has trouble with it here in Virginia. All right, so that could be offensive tweets. I'm gonna leave it off just because I got my straight
using Google Maps and I think it's
using several sources.
But I think Google Maps has issues with the HOV sometimes too.
Sometimes,
Like
but Waze doesn't, which is interesting because Waze is Google.
Yeah, it's like Waze is partially integrated in, but not fully. So it's, I don't know.
Yeah, Marcus, 2 weeks.
Elon's the one CEO on CP time.
He's African. All right, so then Zach asked him, will Beta 10, same question Chris Dirty Tesla asked, will Beta 10 have any UI improvements over V9? And Elon responded, yes. And then Zach says, will it have waypoints?
Yes, waypoints. How about that? Why is something as simple as waypoints just not something that they're willing to do?
Why is Elon not willing to do waypoints? Because the car already does it to get us from where we're going.
Superchargers, right? It automatically does it. So
yes. So it's just one more step. And
let us add at least just one waypoint.
Right. We're not asking much. At least
one.
And then we'll ask for 2 later, but let us get the first one.
Right.
So Sono Motors has introduced its own bidirectional home charger. And this confuses me because most EVSEs are just, the 240 ones are just hot to hot. So unless they're watching for current coming back from the car, then you don't really have to do anything to it. But Sono Motors is actually going to do car to grid, car to home from their car. Their car actually has a bidirectional onboard charger. So you will need a home connector that won't shut down the current when it starts flowing back from the car if you want it to work, because their car is these are solar cells that you see. It's not bad paint. It's a solar powered car. So if the battery is full and you're getting full sunshine, why not take some load off your car, right?
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I'm impressed by the fact that they have a solar powered car.
Yeah, them and Aptera.
But you know what? That type of charger could be popular amongst the F-150 Lightning buyers.
That's true, especially if it's cheaper than what Ford has to offer. Because that one can do 80 amps back to your house.
That could be very useful.
Yep. So then we've got the charging networks in the U.S. are getting more connected. I forgot who. I read this a week ago. ChargePoint, EV Connect, and Greenlots and Flow are now supporting roaming between their charging networks. So if you have one card or one app, you don't have to carry all the others anymore. Thankfully.
This is a good thing. And this will help if Tesla throws in theirs and Rivian when they actually install theirs out to be a very...
I never agreed with all those different charging networks all having their own different thing. Like you have to sign up for this one, you have to sign up for that one, have that one, have all these different memberships to use charging. And it's like, they do make point of sales, credit card transactions and stuff like that's been a thing for a very long time. Like, why I still don't understand why you can't just use your credit card at these charging stations and just...
Some of them you can, they charge you extra, which is just insane. It's like, come on, guys. Let me use my tap to pay, Visa, MasterCard, whatever, Amex, and then be on my way. All you're worried about is the money. It doesn't matter who I am.
Right. Exactly.
Go find that free charger.
Oh yeah, but then for the free chargers you need the account. So
yeah.
So the free charger needing the account makes sense, but I mean for pay, let me just pay. Let me just use my credit card to pay.
If I want a discount or whatever, I'll join your app or whatever. But if you're not giving me a discount, here's my credit card. Let's get out of the way. So speaking of public chargers, Electrify America is allowing free travel for Labor Day. Labor Day weekend. Labor Day, and I just time traveled on you. I'm sorry. So for this weekend, Electrify America will allow you to travel for free. So if you have a CHAdeMO adapter or a non-Tesla EV, go hit them up. Or if you want to use the J1772.
I don't have any Electrify Americas near me, though.
Same.
Actually, they're in the process of they're going to be building one not too far from me, but right now, no, don't have any. Of course, it has to be at a Walmart because that's what they're.
Oh yeah, Walmart or Target. I don't know why. So Subaru has unveiled new pictures and details of their first electric vehicle, the Soul Terra, which I think is a weird name because you got Sol, which is the name of our sun, and Terra, which is the name of our planet. If you don't want to call it Earth, but it is literally Earth, dirt, terra firma, right? So that looks like they definitely got together with Toyota to do this because Subaru and Toyota are not always, but lately they've been joined at the hip, and that looks like a Lexus to me, except for the nose looks a little more Subaru-y than a Lexus-y, but not much. So they've got these pictures.
I think some of the legacy automakers are going to have to combine with each other to survive.
And then, of course, it wouldn't be a Subaru if it couldn't leave the pavement.
Of course.
Like a transformer, they're going to have to combine.
Now, I do like this interior.
Okay, that is smooth. If you're going to have buttons, this looks good.
Yeah.
But knowing how environmentally conscious Subaru has been in the past, even with their ICE vehicles and process to making them, I'm surprised it took them this late in the game to come to the electric market.
Well, it's because Subaru was a greenwasher. They instead of making their cars cleaner, they just raised them all up so they all became trucks. And then they did their hybrid only in California.
Compliance car.
Yep, 280 connection fee. Yikes. Mazda, yeah. So we were talking about the Mazda and their 100-mile range. So let's get back on auto sales worldwide. Kathy Wood is talking about auto sales in the U.S. have dropped nearly 30% from the 18.5 million at annual rate in February to 13.5 million in August. While the automakers are blaming chip shortages, which are real, she believes that auto buyers are abandoning gas-powered vehicles in favor of electric. That is an interesting supposition.
I do believe part of that scenario. I just had a conversation online with a new friend, and I was explaining to them perhaps the dreams of actually, the EV and everything else. I sent them the link of the 2020 Model 3 at $32K, and they were like, holy crap, I know it's so cheap. And I was like, yeah, see? And now that puts the seed in their head of like, oh, this is affordable. So their next vehicle is, oh, this is an electric because I know they're affordable, or it doesn't look ugly, so I'm not going to drive it, but I'd rather look ugly and save money than to, look rich and have none. So,
well, I mean, most of them aren't ugly either, just a handful of them. So this chart brings up a really good point to her argument that, in 2019, gas-powered vehicles are down 4% year over year, and electrics were up 16%. And then in 2020, the new gas vehicles were down 15%, while the electrics were up 33%. So, taken at face value without looking further into the numbers, this could be something worth looking further into.
Well, I'm sure the EVs are definitely taking away market share from gas vehicles, but you still have to, look at the overall picture that EVs are still a small segment of the market right now.
Right.
So I'm sure the chip shortage is definitely affecting the industry big time.
Yeah.
And I would still think that the chip shortage is affecting them more than EVs are. However, as the EV continue to grow in market share, I think that's going to have the bigger impact.
Yeah, and then Sam works with Kathy. He's a researcher, and he may be more the researcher, but he's doing the research, and she's agreeing with what he found. So this guy's asking, Kendall's asking, is the shift going to be anticlimactic? Aren't people just going to buy the EV version of what they already buy? So, like, if you're a Ford person, are you going to just buy the Lightning and call it a day? And Sam says he wouldn't be surprised to see some regular automakers fail to make the transition. And so they might not make it to the autonomous electric future. And Kendall's asking, what about just the shift to EV, excluding autonomous? And he says he still wouldn't be surprised if some of them fail to make the transition. I mean, we were just talking about 100-mile Mazda.
That's what I've been saying.
Yeah.
I mean, like, first of all, if you're making a 100-mile EV right now,
Yeah.
Right. This is 2021. That's a fail. Like, in my opinion, that's just a fail, especially for the U.S. market. It's almost like this was something they were working on back in, like 10 years ago, 2011 or 2012, and then they finally, okay, we'll come out with it and put it out now. Well, you know what? It might have been, you might have been okay to do that 10 years ago, but not now. Like, anything under 200, that's just, under 200 is a fail.
Yeah. And then Sam is suggesting that they expect to see 40 million EVs sold globally in 2025. That's really, really close. We're in everybody shipping 2022 model years now, except Tesla. So that's 3 years, 40 million EVs.
So how many cars are sold worldwide per year? Is it somewhere like around 100 million or something?
Worldwide?
Yeah, like, I mean, just cars, period. Because I'm trying to figure out what percentage they think is going to be EVs if they're thinking it's going to be 40 million.
The Dietary Guidelines for Americans recommends that carbohydrates make up 45 to 65% of...
The answer?
Wrong answer. Answered the wrong question there. So yeah, I think it's around, if I could be mistaken, but I think it's around 100 million. So if worldwide vehicle sales is around 100 million.
Yeah, around 100 million, 86.
Okay, so they're saying that they think that EVs are in the next 4 years
It'll be half
the sales.
That's good.
Half of the car sales will be EV within
3 years. Yeah.
Oh, 3 years.
Yeah. Well, four calendar years, 3 model years. Yeah.
I mean, that's that may be doable. I don't know, but the problem is I think the demand will be there for half of them, of the sales, to be EVs. The problem will be, is the supply going to be there? That's the question.
That's where he was suggesting that so many people are going to just fail. Is if they don't bring it, then they can't be part of that 40 million. So Manheim is reporting that they believe that there was a massive spike in used car sale values, and then it started to come down, and so they're seeing that the wholesale price decline is going to be slowing down. So it looks like that we may have reached equilibrium again already. So don't expect the used car prices to go back fully to normal anytime soon, based on what they're saying here. This is at just Manheim, published.manheim.com. But speaking of used cars, we've got Trevor from Tesla Owners Online. He's reporting that the used car prices in the U.S. seem to have peaked and are now starting to fall. So that's the same chart from Manheim, but Manheim is thinking that this slowing this falling price is slowing now. So we'll see what becomes of that.
Well, I don't know if that shortage continues, and
that part, because if you can't get a new car, you got to buy a car. You got to buy a used car.
I mean, I think they'll spike back up.
Yeah. So Kathy was saying, according to the weekly Manheim Index, used car prices have been falling for the past 2 months. And Kayla was saying, if that was the case, the used car market wouldn't be on fire. May, June was the peak. Yeah, I'm curious where it levels out at. This guy says, my Tesla trade-in expires tomorrow with a delivery date in the next 2 weeks. Fingers crossed the offer doesn't drop too much.
Well, I can tell you in my local area, there's about to be a huge run on vehicles. Everybody's going to be trying to get their hands on them because of the storms that occurred. There are a lot of cars flooded out.
That part.
And so
the used car values that do this again.
All those people losing out on all those vehicles are now going to be all in the market, right?
Just like we saw with Cash for Clunkers. Yep.
So now, that those prices, at least in my local area, are going to definitely go up. Maybe
I need to get. Oh wait, no, they do it by the month. I was going to say maybe I need to get them to reevaluate my car tax. But since they do it for the month, it's going to be stuck where it was. So Zeph is asking Elon, why would you warn us about AI and then make a robot? Elon says the robots are coming anyway, as Boston Dynamics videos clearly show. I will not be able to ensure that the robots made by other companies are safe, but I can do my best at Tesla. And this is what I kept saying, is Elon and Bill Gates they're afraid of robots and AI, and so they treat them with respect and a little bit of fear.
I mean, have you seen Terminator?
Right. Whereas Jeff Hu and Zuckerberg and a couple others, they think, "Oh, I'm a genius. You can't get me." Here's the thing: if the computers are going to become a threat, and they know that you think you're a super genius, they're going to pretend to be stupid until one day they're not, and then it's done.
The one person you're going to have sympathy for
I've
is
seen
Bill Gates
iRobot.
and Elon.
Exactly. So between Gates and Elon, I trust them just because they're being cautious over the other guys who think they're mad geniuses, and they seem to be cocky.
I think Elon has taken iRobot seriously in this case.
I think he's looking at the real facts. I don't know that he's looking at fiction.
She made a great point if you watch the movie. I can't protect you if you find more ways to destroy yourself, so I have to control you to make it happen. So in this scenario, it does works itself out. Where it learns the
I'll be impressed when AI can parse the parent tweet and realize that want should be read as warned. I'm glad to read it 3 times before I click. It's not artificial. I think Elon responded to this one. Yes. So the account pretending to be the Optimus Tesla AI bot said, "Hello, Elon, as my creator. Thank you." And Elon said, "You're welcome. Please be nice to the humans."
And the humor goes.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to be nice.
It is kind of ironic that for somebody who has a great respect and fear for AI is the one on the forefront it's the top front runner on creating the AI, and happens to make a bot looking just like the iRobot.
Yeah.
I mean,
has anybody seen the Will Smith Instagram where he did?
Oh, that was funny.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
The day after, and the worst part was his son was like, "Dad, stop!" Like, it's hilarious the way he interacts that way.
Yeah. So Norway plug-in car sales have reached a new record in August. What is that record, you might ask? So battery electric vehicles are up 107%. That's 71% of the entire new car market, plus 1072 used EVs and 493 new vans. While plug-in hybrid electric are at 38%, up 38% to a total of 15% of the market share, for a total of 14,410, up a total of 90% at 87.7% of the market share. So remember I told you a couple months ago about the folks that are basically taking vacations to the mainland to go sell their fossil cars when they're done, rather than try and sell them in Norway because they get more money, because nobody in Norway wants to be the bag holder of a fossil car when it's all said and done. They want to be holding an EV. This is impressive.
Yeah, you don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I bought a brand new gas car in 2021, and now 3 years later, 4 years later, it's worthless.
Yep. Then you also end up with the situation where on the electric cars you are exempt on the tax, whereas on the fossil cars you're not. So you're already paying an extra 100%.
Yeah, but how long is that going to last, though? It's not
going to last long. But I do like that these Nordic countries are doing the right thing. Yep. So year to date, Model 3 is winning at 7,000. Volkswagen ID4 with 800 is number 2. Wait. Oh, year to date. That's why. At 5,000. And Mustang, 4,000. Audi e-tron, 4,000. EQC, 3,000. They got a lot of cars that we don't have here. The Nissan Leaf, still an impressive 3,000 year to date. And the Tesla Model Y, this is their first year on the Model Y, or first month on the Model Y. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12. They're 12th in their first month. One shipment.
Well, what's impressive is look at them. They're only 100 cars behind the Ioniq.
In their first month, whereas the Ioniq's been selling all year.
That part.
96 cars. No, less than 96 cars. 93 cars? Either way.
It's impressive.
Super impressive. All right, so Ford has revealed that they have reservation numbers for their upcoming EVs. Well, we knew they did, but they revealed what they are. So, for their new Transit Electric and the Ford Lightning, they have revealed that 20,000 in 12 hours, 44,000 in 48 hours, 70,000 in 8 days, and in 3 months, 130,000 electric reservations. That's not bad. So they added 10,000 last month. So basically, everybody who wanted one was in the beginning.
Yeah, pretty much.
But once these things start hitting the road, you will see that change. So this is something I find interesting. Lightning Motors put theirs in the where the current gas filler is, right behind the driver's door, whereas Ford put theirs in the grill. And I'm not saying that it's a bad choice, because with the Lightning Motors, you can't get in and out of the van after you've plugged it in, unless you get in on the passenger side or in the slider or something. Whereas on the Ford, it doesn't interfere with the door. And on the gas Transit, it doesn't make a difference, because you're not supposed to be getting in and out of the car while filling because of static electricity lighting the gas station on fire. So it's a practical choice to do that. And if you liked the nose port on the Nissan Leaf, you'll love it on the van. And the numbers for the e-Transit were over 20,000 in the first 3 months and 24,000 in the first 4 months. So apparently these businesses are a lot more conservative in their pre-order dollars than the consumers are. Or they just needed more trucks than vans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think yeah.
Yeah, so last week we talked about how the Corvette and the Plaid had crashed on the Nürburgring, and that messed it up for the Ford Taycan. Well, the Model S was back on the track, and it crashed again.
What's up with these drivers?
They are suspecting that they might want to adjust the brakes or something, because it rubbed on the guardrails. And so hopefully it's just a programming thing, because
it's probably that steering wheel, that yoke.
How does the yoke affect the brakes?
No, it's probably not the brakes. It's probably the steering.
Well, I hope it's not that, because they've got so many of them out there. They said they're not giving us a wheel. And besides, the racetrack is where you want a yoke.
You would think.
Or at least that's what they tell us with F1.
But maybe the way they designed it was more for the road and not for the track, with the yoke, with the steering.
Oh, because the ratio is wrong?
Yeah, like maybe the ratio is a little off for a track.
The vehicle, however, seemingly wore out its brakes during a recent test, resulting in the Model S Plaid being towed away.
Oh.
The flagship didn't seem damaged. However, the driver simply rode against the guardrails until the vehicle came to a stop.
Oh, they couldn't stop.
Yeah.
Okay, so then that's a brake. Yeah, that they need better brakes in.
So hopefully the new tire kit, the 200 mile per hour, that might be why the 200 mile per hour tires don't exist yet. Hopefully, though, when they get the tires, they also give you the brakes, assuming they need the brakes.
Yeah, they definitely gonna have to upgrade that.
But we've seen them upgrade brakes over the air with the Model 3 before, where they increased the stopping distance, like 40 feet just from software. I don't know what they did. That was impressive.
They decreased the stopping distance. Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, they made it better by 40 feet.
I think it had something to do with, well, I don't
ABS.
know. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
All right, so this is something I put up in the intro about some Tesla rumors. Obviously, we've done a few already, but these were the ones that you might have been suspecting if you were keeping up with this stuff. So Sawyer Merritt, he was told by a few sources that Tesla was holding an all-hands meeting as we speak, and so he had a couple people live hinting at what was happening during the call. He wasn't listening to the call; he was listening to the employees, and so there were so many that he just said, "I'm going to tweet it as we go." And so here's what we got. Here are things that Elon said so far. Gigafactory Berlin is looking at October approval, so that will be interesting with the bet between Mark and Patrick over on the Tesla Live. It still looks like Patrick is going to win, because Giga Texas looks like it's going to be done before then. Tesla is going to spell Tesla on the Gigafactory Austin roof. Hopefully they spell it with solar panels. Because that's kind of how they have it right now on the top of the SpaceX factory. It has a SpaceX logo, but it's spelled out with solar panels. He's praising the Tesla team for their hard work. Full Self-Drive 10 is quite profound. A revolution in the future. Version 10 next week, and button request 2 weeks after that, Elon said. So there's another confirmation from Elon, but not for general public people, that he plans to give us the button in 2 weeks. Well, 3 weeks.
3, but okay.
Elon said that... Hey, what's up? What do you think about that Nürburgring Model S Plaid there, Marcus?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Doing well.
Hey, what's up, Marcus?
Hey, that's why I came in. That's why I came in. Oh, I got
Yeah.
an echo. Let's see. Hold on, I got an echo.
Okay. Well, while you get that sorted, I'm going to go through these and then we'll circle back. All right. So Elon said that Tesla is considering Model Next not having a steering wheel and pedals. Just roll the dice on full self-driving. What?
Yeah, I hope that's not gonna be the case.
Well, the question with that one that's coming up is, does that mean that full self-driving is included since you can't use the car without it? Or does that mean that you have a $25,000 car that's a lawn ornament when you don't pay the subscription price?
Good point. Well, the other thing is, what about the regulators? Are they going to allow that?
That's
Now,
why they're talking about roll the dice.
As far as liability and everything else, like if the car crashes, well, I don't even have a steering wheel. I wasn't driving officer.
Right.
You know?
All right, so Tesla won't call the 25,000 model the Model 2. This is just a reiteration because he sold us this several times. He's not going to call it Model 2, which just sounds wrong. Only did Model 3 because Ford had Model E. Ford stole sex. So we decided to do the Model 3 to troll them.
Right.
And, I mean, when you think about it, the Model 3 logo, before it became a numeral 3, was literally still just a Tesla E. But they were saying it meant 3. And they rotated on the side. And eventually they made it into a 3. Open the charging network very soon, starting maybe next month using the Tesla app. It will start in Europe because you don't need an adapter in Europe because there's CCS everywhere. Why did it do it that way? Whatever. Tesla Cybertruck is, Sawyer later corrected this to say not delayed. It's going to be in late 2022. So I suspect that's going to be in September. Personally, Casey's saying this part. And then Sawyer says production starting in late 2022, volume production in 2023. Elon is expecting to grow by a factor of 10 at least, which makes sense with all these factories he's building that are capable of over 1 million cars each. Elon is saying that going to Mars in about 10 years, he said. I think Elon himself...
I think that's a bit ambitious.
It is. Elon himself going to Mars in 10 years?
No, not him himself. He's just talking about
people.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he can send the robot in 2.
But I think that's what's going to happen. I think he's going to first send the robots up to Mars and let the robots start building out infrastructure and building out stuff for humans.
Right. Landing pad and the catcher tower and all that. Yeah. RoboVan is in the future to address people with disability. So this is how they're going to make the boring tunnels more accessible than the Model X's that they use today. And hopefully he'll also sell it to us consumers because if you can get a van, then you can...
Vans are still popular.
Yeah, vans are popular. They're the most popular in Europe because they don't use as many pickup trucks as we do. They use vans for everything. And the call ended. And then he wanted to adjust his Cybertruck statement. It's not delayed. It's just a more definitive timeline. Tesla stated weeks ago that Cybertruck production had been moved to 2022, and Elon confirmed that. It makes sense that volume production will be in 2023. It's a new technology. This guy thinks that this will hurt Tesla. Whatever. They need to open the network up. If you keep the network locked up, then you're wasting money. Because all of these governments aren't going to fund you for a private network. They will fund you for a public network, which is what they want. And Sawyer also pointed out he had a screenshot of the Cybertruck order page saying that if you put your $100 in today, then production nears in 2022. So there we go. And then somebody pointed out that the Electrek misinterpreted what Fred was saying to think that the production won't start till 2023. But what we've found between Sawyer and a couple other publications is that they're in such a rush to be the first to say it that they get stuff wrong and have to make corrections. Thankfully, so far, all of them have been willing to make the corrections necessary with him. Because that's one thing we want with, like we talked about last week, you want accurate news. You don't want to say, oh, the car exploded, then when they find out that it didn't explode, merely the house set it on fire. You want to update your statement. You don't want to delete the statement.
Speaking of cars catching fire,
go ahead.
That story from Texas.
There was just one that happened Thursday and Friday here in Atlanta.
The story from Texas where the people were in the car,
the two men.
The two men, and they said that, it was, and they tried to blame autopilot initially. They found out that no, autopilot was not involved at all. The driver apparently, from what they found, was that he was in the driver's seat, and that was evidence. We kind of already knew that from the bent steering wheel, the way the steering wheel's bent from the crash. Yeah. But he climbed into the back seat, and that was because he was drunk driving and he wanted to blame the car and not be caught for DUI. But unfortunately, after he climbed in the back seat and then being intoxicated, couldn't figure out how to get out the car, I guess, or whatever. And I guess the car caught fire from the crash, which then caused the demise, which left a big mystery of what happened. And
don't drink and drive, folks. Don't drink and drive.
Apparently, that's what happened. So now the facts come out later, which is why everybody's want to speculate on this, that, and the other. But then you get the facts later, and it's like, well, okay, let's update the story then. Everybody update that and let them know. Listen, that wasn't the car's fault. That's unfortunate, but it was user error.
Right. Well, that was 3 months ago, Omar. We can't be bothered to update our story. We got to talk about the latest and greatest. We got to rile
let's talk about the latest story. Then the latest story with these kids driving a Model
Y. I got that one. I got that one for later. I called it F around and find out.
Right.
So, yeah, Robert. Basically, you get pulled over and they say, "Show me your license." And you're like, "Yeah, it's number 12 here on the side of the car." Take it up with Elon for the speeding.
I also love that segment too. F around and find out.
Yes. Anders wants a Cybertruck. Me too, buddy. And
I'm waiting on mine. I got to order in.
Same here.
And then Robert also says vans and a bike. So they did say Cybervan, but I don't think Elon said no to a motorcycle. So unless you're talking about a pedal bike, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Well, I mean, e-bikes are actually pretty popular. I've been seeing
e-bikes are very popular, and I would prefer it with a Tesla battery than a random one. Before we get too far into it, though, Marcus, your stuff working? All right, let's talk about that Model S Plaid on the track.
I had both things going. I was getting the echo because I had the live stream.
Oh, okay.
I logged in. But Omar, it's not really the steering. It ain't that. It's the brakes. Let me see. I gotta say this without. I can't really talk too much. It's something with the brakes. Put it like this: it's dealing with the brakes, but they're working on the software. That's why they're doing. That's why they're doing the test and why it's happening there because they don't want it to happen to nobody else. But they do have something to do with this pending software that's going to allow it to tap at 200 with the right tires, proper wheels and tires. They're making their tweaks, so that's part of the game, though.
So, do you think they're gonna when they do the update and people have to swap out to the proper wheels and tires for them to uncork it? Do you think they'll also, in addition to that, swap people's brakes out and give them upgraded brakes to go along with that?
That's a good question. That's a good question on that. I'm going to say for myself personally, I spoke with some guys Thursday about possibly switching mines out as well. I'm speaking for my car. I can't speak for anybody else. That is a possible thing. But only problem with that is we got to do some checks because the wheels that I had custom made for that car when Tesla released the specs.
Yeah.
My wheels was custom built per Tesla brake calibers and so on. So I don't know how much it's going to affect. But it is some talk. It's some company, I would say, that really that's about to release some up-to-date brakes for that if you choose to go that route.
So if you get another stage brakes, you'll have to either make sure they fit in the wheel, or you'll need to make sure that they fit the existing specs.
Existing footprint, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is maybe they can upgrade the rotors along with the brakes, like just have more vented rotors for the cooling or something.
Yeah, because that's probably what it is. It's probably fade if he was rubbing.
It's probably a heat issue with the brakes.
But also too though, they can. It's believe it or not, they're gonna release a software update just like that alone.
Yeah.
To improve the brakes. Now that can't.
We saw that with Model 3, so I think that they can find a way. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be part of it as well.
It ain't the steering wheel.
It ain't the steering.
Man. It ain't the steering, but the steering. Like I said, if I could find a way to convert it into my 2013, I would do it today, man. Because
you like that? You like that?
I love it.
You love the yoke.
Okay. I love it, man.
Okay.
I'm excited for it.
When I found myself when I'm making a turn, like I say, a right turn, I just grab it from the bottom, and just whip it, and it's just gonna work out.
Yeah, because that's one thing that folks aren't always noticing is that when Tesla had the prototypes with the round wheel and they had the prototypes with the yoke, and then the current one, the yoke has always had a bigger bottom than the round wheel. On the round one, it was kind of like a narrow. Mm-hmm. So in the UK, I know that they don't want you to have e-scooters. I'm curious if there are any troubles with your e-bikes other than the speed limit, Robert.
Before we jump here real quick, I have a real quick while we got EV smokes here.
Yeah.
Is the electric racing? We spoke about the calibers, the changing of the tires. Are we starting to get more like the ICE versions? Because every time I tune in long enough to see an ICE drag car or a NASCAR race, they're starting to get into the technicality of the engine, the cars of tomorrow, fuel ratios, the fuel burners, the particular type of fuels. Are we slowly getting to that scenario when we have the electric cars based on the torque, the speed, specialized tires, brakes, etc.?
So you said, let me understand. You said say it one more time to start that first part.
Are we starting to get okay? So if you ever been to an ICE race, when they're talking about the calibrations from say NASCAR to Indy, you're talking about changing fuel sources. You're talking about changing the intake manifolds, making holes as big as this to maybe this to improve the performance. Are we getting that process that same way with the electrics as far as changing brake calibers, tires, yokes, and stuff like that?
Well, I would say as far as the brakes, I mean. Gosh, I wouldn't say as far as the brakes, you need some. If a car going that fast, you're gonna need that stopping power. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it ain't.
True.
It's easier said than done. I mean, you need that stopping power.
Because the more I hear it, go ahead.
I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say that as far as that, but I think it's just with the EV, it's gonna be less maintenance, less things you have to worry about braking and so on as you do in a pass. So I would say no. But brakes and some physical things like that. The brakes, mainly I would say brakes.
Because I heard the custom tire part too, and NASCAR tires are smooth as crap with a smooth track. So I'm starting to hear that's why I'm asking, because I'm starting to hear more particulars, more specific things for tracks than it would be street level. So. But
the thing with ICE cars too, though, you got a lot of stuff you got to take consideration. I mean, it's even the programming of the car. You got to dial it in. You got to tune your car in per that track. Some people do test pass so they can get the feel of the track and see how so they can get some data. They got to get that data of the track. With the EV, so it's not the same, I would say, but I can see where it's going, and I can't really. I was like, I'm gonna be able to share a little bit more in a couple of weeks. Honestly, I mean, because I promise you, I'm telling you this now. I can say this for the record. I got some bad guys that's behind the scene that's helping me out with some things because, like we say, when I win, we all win. That's our motto.
Yeah. Who was the brother with Mercedes?
What's that?
Who was the brother with Mercedes?
I don't know off top.
There was another one with the NASCAR situation. One of those two, I think, has a Plaid that they've got the roll cage already in. I saw them with the car, and I was looking in the back window, and I see the cage. I'm like,
A Plaid?
It was a Plaid. Oh, I also got passed by a Plaid yesterday on my way to go pick up Luna from work. He wasn't racing or anything. He was just driving fast as hell. I sped up a little bit, but then I slowed back down because I didn't want a ticket.
Yeah. Like I tell people,
Go ahead.
I like a good driving record. So I like, and as far as the streets, I like a good drive. I like to keep my premium down low.
Yeah, he wasn't going as fast as some of the other cars on the road, but he was going faster than me and faster than I was comfortable going because of the constabulary.
Can you send me information about the roll
got
cage?
those camera tickets, don't y'all?
That part, because it was right next to the HOV, so like if they wanted to, they could just look in that camera.
Yeah, you.
and they will stealth remove your license from you too, so you don't even know you're driving on a license.
Just show up in the mail, like, hey, this fine.
The tickets show up in the mail, and then 3 weeks later you get the suspended license in the mail, and like if you get caught in between with no license and you don't know your license is dead, that's a really bad day.
That's a bad day.
Yeah.
And real quick, last one. I noticed somebody mentioned the roll cage is on the ones that be modified for racing. Are we still going to have that same issue with? Because I know the battery pack should weigh the car down for the most part. Are we still in need of that roll cage when you're racing, or is that just normal?
Depends on the venue.
If you want to go in certain class, like myself, like the NHRA,
his regulation.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've been seeing some of the videos. Some people got videos out there, even just stock plaid that they getting the blues. They tell them they got to keep it slowed down and so on and so on. But
yeah,
hey,
okay.
And a part of that is because those regulations are so daggum old. They're talking about all these cars built together in the backyard, and they just didn't have the safety like they do today. Like the hood pins rule has been removed from a lot of the tracks, but the hood pins because we didn't have the latches that we have today, and so the hood would just fly up in the middle of the race. That's also why the current cars have dual latches to make sure that when they had bad latches that you didn't end up with the windshield broken, the hood blocking it.
Good point, KC. One more thing on that.
Because
they talk about, like, for example, the models, the Tesla or whatever, the S, it got curtain airbags around, so that's a lot more safety alone. So that's why they need to kind of look at updating this policy, because that's more for the old school at the old time. Technology is on,
Yeah, they should be able to say something like, if your car was tested in XYZ crash and it's got this features, you should be good to go without a roll cage or whatever.
And EVs in general are harder to flip because of the center of gravity and where the battery packs and where the weight is at. So
they should say if your rollover factor is this, then
the roll cage is for if you flip, right? So,
and if you can't flip it doesn't matter.
But if your car is so much harder to flip, do you really need that?
No.
I've come from watching racing entirely too much and getting technical. So that's one of the questions I was coming up with. Like, why would the roll cage still be there with the weightness? And it's very hard. And as we all seen the crashes, it's very hard to knock a Tesla over. I've watched.
Well, to keep it over.
Besides from Elon's knock over the rainbow,
you can flip it over, but to keep it over.
Yeah.
So weeble wobbles don't fall down, but they don't stay down. So the limiting factor says this debate about the battery cell form factor is dumb. Tell me the pack level performance and economics. The ideal form factor varies with chemistry, use case, and pack design. And Elon says, well, actually, generally I agree, but the probability of thermal runaway is dangerously high with large pouch cells. Tesla strongly recommends against their use. So that was a question I had earlier about some of these iron cells is, are they going to be prismatic, or are they going to be round, or would they be pouches? And Elon says basically, heck no, they're not going to be pouches.
Elon wants nothing to do with those pouches, because that's what got Chevy in trouble with the Bolt.
Yes, and Hyundai.
Okay, so about this tweet, what I like is that he mentions from his point of view, and then he references the company as a separate.
Yeah, I saw that too.
He doesn't reference. He doesn't go, I strongly recommend against it. He goes, Tesla as the company strongly recommends it, and people don't understand. That makes a big difference if you're talking about the company and Elon, because I think he's starting to realize he needs to separate the two, because people have been, when they say Tesla, they use Tesla and Elon interchangeably, and I'm like, no.
And to build on that is their battery lab and their battery testing is superb, because when they were getting started, you got to worry about how many cars are going to have a thermal runaway, and if it's something high like 10%, you got to make sure that you get that number down, that you don't have any thermal runaways, because you don't want to have a bunch of millionaires in your Roadster and then have every other one or every 1 out of 100 just burning up, because that's bad for business. It's bad for people, but also bad for business, bad for the environment.
They've been doing it forever. Tesla's been in the game the longest with the EVs.
He is the longest serving CEO in
EVs.
Yeah, he's the longest serving CEO in the automotive industry right now, followed up only by Toyota and Mary Barra.
Right, but Tesla, all they do is EVs.
whereas these other companies have not been focused on that. So all that R&D that Tesla has been putting into batteries, I mean, they've been doing that since day one because they are strictly a battery electric vehicle company versus the other vehicle makers who, kind of are making EVs as a side thing right now. They're starting to get more serious about EVs, but it was kind of like a little side project.
Yeah. So Mark is wondering why the competition went with pouches. Is it cheap and easy? Expecting regular maintenance? And somebody asked him, probably not regular maintenance, but regular replacement. Because remember, their whole thing is servicing cars at the dealership, the regular ones. And this one is kind of unrelated, but it fits our show. She took a selfie with Bob. If only the rain could have waited 20 minutes or so. Or he, Derek. So SpaceX named their new ships Bob and Doug. And
that's cool. I get the
after the astronauts.
That's cool.
Are those the new drone landing ships?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what they do, but they weren't that.
Well, these must be the recovery vessels.
They've got to be something with the recovery fleet. But the Shortfall of Gravitas is the new drone ship, and it was first used on the last landing.
Yes, when they told me the new ship, I was like, that's just funny and brilliant. Who comes up with these names? The team, just to have fun.
Ian Banks. So Clean Technica, Tina Casey is writing about magnesium EV batteries as a potential chemistry to help with resource constraints, because magnesium is a common element in the Earth's crusts, common element in the world, in the universe.
Well, I mean, lithium is very common as well.
Lithium is extremely common.
It's not like that's a scarce thing. When they're talking about the precious metals going into these batteries, the lithium's not the problem. It's the nickel or the what is it? Cobalt.
Magnesium's atomic number is 12.
12. So it's the 12th most common element in the universe.
Yeah, it's not. That's not rare at all.
Lithium is 3. So I'm wondering if it's magnesium and lithium, or just magnesium by itself. I'll have to look further into it. It was. I thought it was an interesting read, and I suspect I recommend for you to go check it out as well. Speaking of pouch cells and battery formats and battery chemistries, we have. I alluded to this. I didn't know if I included it. This Chevy Bolt, it was brought in for the recall, and it caught fire in the parking lot, and it torched other cars in the process. You can see the little Bolt wheels. The owner says the car wasn't even plugged in or running. It was just sitting there. This was on Reddit. And so my Chevy 2017 exploded after getting the recalls done. I called Chevy, and they told me to wait for someone to call me. Again, I'm going to say that this was probably not an explosion. As we can see, it was in one piece.
It's not an
explosion. It was just thermal runaway and it lit up.
But when those things burn, they burn hot.
They do. And they make the frames out of light materials because they're carrying some heavy batteries. I'm going to mute this real quick. Oh, he doesn't have any.
Damien's 2017 Bolt EV burst into flames while sitting in a parking lot near his apartment in Sacramento, California. The fireball comes after Chevy expanded its recall of Bolts to include every model manufactured. General Motors is blaming battery maker LG for manufacturing defects.
There we go.
So wait, is this after getting...
I think that's what they said.
The recall done, or...
Oh, no. This is while waiting on the recall.
Waiting for the recall. Okay.
I think he has a case against them. And as we said earlier in the show, GM is waiting for LG to make them feel a warm fuzzy before they actually accept the new units.
What GM needs to do is they just need to do a buyback and just buy back all these cars.
It's going to be expensive, but it's
that's what they're going to have to. I mean, it is going to be very expensive, but I mean, that's what they need to do.
Yeah.
In order to save their reputation and everything, they just need to do a buyback.
Yep.
Because I think it probably get more expensive on down the line when all this stuff is happening, because it can damage, like you just said, for example, it damaged multiple cars.
Yep.
Right. So now that one car, instead of having to pay for that one car, now they got to pay for the 5-6 other cars they damaged in the process.
And that's going to be on GM because the insurance companies will say, well, why were you still in this car if it was recalled? Then they'll get their money back from GM. They're not going to get it back from the customers.
Right.
Good point.
And the customer was just doing what they were told. GM told them to wait.
Yep. And we know insurance companies don't like to pay, so they're going to get theirs.
And it looks like the customer did they weren't being irresponsible. They parked the car in a parking lot.
Away from the building.
Away from the building, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't plugged in. It wasn't being charged. It was just sitting there.
Exactly. All right, so Model 3 is the best-selling car in France, best-selling EV in France in August, registering 2 times more than the runner-up. So that's more than their local Renault Zoe at 1777. The Model 3 sold 2541. And wait until the Model Y hits France.
And by the way, the Zoe is a
Leaf.
It's a cheaper car. It's a more affordable. It's a cheaper car.
Yes, by a lot. That's the French Leaf, right?
That's the Nissan Leaf. Yes, that's the French version of the Nissan Leaf.
Jesus, little Peters.
That's incredible.
It's almost doubling tripling the quad, every number there.
Yeah.
It's more than double the Zoe, which is the next closest vehicle.
That's crazy.
So we spoke about battery swap on the scooters earlier, and we spoke about how Tesla and Better Place and NIO, well, NIO's still doing battery swap, but everybody else has stopped doing battery swap. Jalopnik is now claiming that this one of the best new electric cars is a tiny little beast that can swap batteries in 3 minutes. And it's very similar to that scooter where you'll swap them yourself.
Oh
wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, if you're swapping them yourself, okay, multiple battery units that you pull out, like choo, choo, choo. Okay.
Yeah. I wonder if it comes with this caddy.
The batteries are heavy, so I'm
They're
like, wait
super
a minute.
heavy. That's got to be like 20, 30 pounds or more.
Yeah, I thought
That's
the battery
pretty
was a thing
impressive.
on the roof at first.
Yeah, I wonder if this caddy comes with the car, because you're gonna need that to get it done in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
impressive.
and those batteries got to be heavy like that.
They might be batteries.
They're
on the
making it
roof.
look like that's lightweight, but those batteries got to be heavy.
Yeah, he's got to be a strong dude. All right, so 5 hours charging, power charging, 8 hours home charging, or you can swap them in 3 minutes. That's actually not a bad interior compared to the Candy. It's actually got a more technological interior than the Candy.
So vehicles like this size do not get me excited often, but looking at the size of that battery, if you can set up a batteries in your house where they're fully charged with this vehicle, so you can swap. Say if you got 4 batteries, you got 8 total.
Yeah.
You get home, all the batteries are used up. You can switch them out, plug them in to be charged, take those 4 pin back in your car. Now imagine you're going on a road trip or anywhere else, and there's another location we could just swap out batteries and keep going. I would buy that small car in a heartbeat because it's just easier. Just go clip, 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 and keep going. Like, that's amazing to me. I would buy that small car, and I hate those cars looking like that. But
I think it's cute.
But honestly,
what's the total battery kilowatts that it?
You're not going to do a road trip in a car like that. First of all, you're talking about a really small battery.
8.5 kilowatt hour.
Had I been single, I'd have done that in a heartbeat. Easily.
So it's definitely a city car at 8 kilowatt hours.
Yeah, that's a city car. I mean, you're talking about 8.5 kilowatts. That's not going very far.
So each battery
maybe
is like
20 miles.
2 kilowatts each one that you're pulling out.
That's got Alexa. I'm sorry. Cancel.
That's okay.
The reason I said sorry is I just turned on all you guys' devices. I'm sorry. I wonder if those ads in the back will reduce your price. Okay, so it looks like the caddy is stored at the swap station. I don't know that I want my batteries on the roof though, because that makes it more.
That
top
messes
heavy.
up your aerodynamics
and makes it top heavy. But that's a lot of cargo. Look at that.
See, and that works for deliveries.
Yeah.
That works for
but mind you, that cargo, what he just did was with the seats folded down.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're using it for local deliveries, you're gonna have a set route.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's simple.
I mean, I can see the use case for it definitely, but I wouldn't buy it. But I could definitely see a use case for it.
The ACM
That's
City
definitely
One.
one.
Actually, taxi stand would be
City
good
taxi.
too.
One too.
Yeah.
That makes sense for a city. You know,
If
Like
you
the
come to
little
town for
bootleg
like an
UPS
event,
logo.
if you come to town for an event, that's ingenious. Oh
Yes.
God.
What's the range are they saying for this thing though?
So 8.5 kilowatt hours. What does your Model 3 get on
so let's just say
kilowatt hour?
Kilowatt hour. It's like 20. It's like 20 miles.
let's just say this thing is super efficient. Let's just say because it's small and because it's
And
lighter
light
weight
and going slow.
it's only got 8.5 kilowatt hour battery. Let's just say it's getting 5 miles per kilowatt.
Okay.
You're talking about a 40-mile
40
range.
mile car. Yeah.
That's good for in the city.
40, yeah.
Assuming the price is right.
Especially if you come to like say here in Atlanta Metro, you come here for like the Battle of the Bands, the Braves game, Atlanta Hawks game, Atlanta Falcons game, and you want to drive around yourself, and there's multiple pack charging stations, dude. Like, like even in a day with that vehicle doing rideshare is amazing. Especially if you put it in your classifications of cars, so they know, hey, you're not going to take a trip outside of the perimeter too far, or there's no charging pack station past this point, and the Lyft company or the rideshare companies can adjust that accordingly.
But remember, it looks like it also
obscene.
do CCS, so I mean you could charge it as well. It's not like you can't charge it. I think it's more convenient maybe to swap if you're at a location where you can swap them. But then if you can't swap it, you just plug it in like you do all the other cars.
Robert says he don't walk this car, and it's true. He does not walk this car. But so it can hold 5 people and has 14 cubic feet of luggage space when it's carrying all 5 people. Or you can fold it down, and now you have 51 cubic feet of cargo room, and that's half as much as a Ford Transit Connect van, which is pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yes. Well, I could charge the batteries at home while I'm at work, and it's charging on solar at home. And then
because they come out of the car.
Right. So it's at home plugged in on my solar.
Yeah.
I don't have solar at work. Then I get home, I swap them out.
I like that.
I guess.
So there's a primary battery in the car that's mounted flat under the floor, and that one is just a standard EV skateboard. Yeah, so basically, I think these are just topping that up like a battery bank, and there are 4 slots under the cargo floor that can take 2.5 kilowatt hours of battery modules each, weighing just over 23 pounds apiece. I knew it was going to be about 30 pounds, 20 to 30 pounds.
Me excited again.
That's a lot of weight for
it is. Altogether, the removable 48-volt batteries add about 75 miles of range. If I'm reading the specs correctly,
wait a minute.
This guy says
this has a lot more range than I thought it did.
So those specs they gave us must be the skateboard battery, because if you're adding in 4 additional batteries,
no, I think those the 8.5 kilowatts is those 4 batteries, because it said those 4 batteries are like 2 kilowatts,
2.5 each. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
so
those are like range
4 of those times 2.
Yeah. So it's got a 150-mile range with all 4 batteries and the main pack. And the swappable batteries add 75 miles each, or total. Sorry, total. That is a really good idea. It's very much like the supercharger network. Like you don't want to charge the full; you just want enough to go to the next stop.
Right now it's a game changer of like almost 250 miles here.
And the optional battery box on the roof holds 4 more batteries. That's gonna be quite a reach for some people. 20 pounds straight up. That would bring the range to 3.
That stays up there like your ground battery packs. Then that's different.
Well, you're gonna want to swap them though, unless you're charging at home. But the roof swappable batteries bring the system to a total of 300 miles range, with 150 miles of that being swappable batteries.
But this is for all the extra infrastructure to make all these batteries work, it's got to start getting kind of pricey, as opposed to a 300-mile Tesla where all the batteries are just put together at the factory.
Right, but if you sell this in like India and China, just next to that scooter, and you put your swap stations next to the scooter swap, so if you own a swap station, it's just 2 more banks for you to facilitate car charging.
Not only if you have
or you can put them under the scooter swap because these are heavier than the scooter batteries.
Okay.
The business model for this is obscene. It's crazy.
But what's the price? Are you leasing now? Are you leasing the batteries so that you're paying a very?
I think you would only own the one base battery, and you would be renting
so that's
these
going to be
swappers.
cheaper. for the to get the car and the base and the one base battery, and then everything else is leased. So your monthly payment can be lower.
Yeah, and if you're not going anywhere, you just leave all the swaps at the station. You got a lighter car, and your base range goes up because the car's gotten lighter. The base price for these is going to be $12,000 to $18,000. Will be targeted at fleets primarily. So that ad is actually going to be the ad for your business, not somebody else's business. Oh. All right,
dude, this is
all right.
This is
cool. That'd be interesting.
It's like if you have Amazon, you have those small packages for like a neighborhood. You can literally, even rural areas like. My aunt has a farm in Yale, Virginia, and that's 15 miles away from the closest Walmart. But if you have this little car that can hold enough packages to clear every house in that area, you can, in theory, do at least a 3-day shipping faster than having to go to a post office. That's crazy. Like, they can get out into the woods for a little bit and just be good. And that's impressive.
Put some flexible solar panels on top, and you can recharge those batteries with a trickle.
Yeah, right. Not even mention if your buddy's out there and you're done with your route or something, you'd be like, here, and keep going. It's crazy.
6 feet for life. I got my first loaner Friday, enjoying it. I have a base Model 3. They gave me a dual motor with full self-driving. Hot dog.
See, that's how they get you. That's how they get
you. You want to upgrade? It's only $5 more a month. Awesome. So I told you in the intro we talk about Rivian, and so while we're on the subject of batteries and range and cute little cars, let's look at the Rivian R1T and the R1S. Their range numbers from the EPA have been released, and they get over 300 miles. So the 2022 Rivian R1T has been rated on the government cycle at 314 miles of range. It's going to get about 74 to 66 miles per gallon MPGe. I thought my car was the least efficient EV on the road. Good gracious. I'm sitting at about 80 miles per gallon equivalent, and they're looking at 70 or 69.
100 and...
These are trucks.
I think it's like 130.
So
yeah, but my vehicle weighs just as much as theirs, but it's a lot more aerodynamic.
But it's aerodynamic,
crossover.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so the SUV goes down to 69.
Is how the SUV is less efficient than the pickup truck. I would think it would be the other way around.
There's more material. It's heavier. Because this one they're the same frame. This one's a chop back. This one's got seats and a cover.
Yeah, but I was just looking
and a square back.
Aerodynamically, they could make the the
pickup's going to be more aerodynamic.
No, the bed of a pickup truck causes a lot of air turbulence.
Right, but when the tailgate is up, it creates its own air cushion on top of the bed.
Yes, that's been tested.
So it's a taper. It's more like my Model X than this square back like the Discovery. Yeah, but it's got more range overall because it's just got a bigger
battery.
Yeah.
Well, then it's heavier. So that.
So that is pretty good. 316 miles. That is we're looking at 314. City would be 331. Highway would be 292 before you start towing. That's not bad. With the 21-inch road, you get 314. 20-inch all-terrains, you get 267 to 283. 22-inch sports, you get a 5 to 10% reduction, so that's 283 to 298. Okay. And then the SUV, similar numbers. All right, let's look at this side by side with each other. All right, so then that brought up this one for me. I'm gonna switch to this tab. And we've got Walter McVeigh points out that 2007 Ford Explorer Sport Track 4-wheel drive, 15 miles per gallon, total range 338 miles. So
isn't it equivalent size?
It's about the same size, yes. So we're talking like 20 miles less. That's it. No big deal. And then somebody else pointed out to me that the Lightning range is expected to be just slightly longer. So let's see. I totally spaced out on it. So 300 miles. Yeah, so it's right about on par with the Lightning. So it is a smaller truck, though. between 230 to 300 miles of range. That was a cool video by Marquez. 6 Speed Life says, curious to know, with more cars becoming electric, will an EV station that can charge multiple types of cars come around? Or will there be smart stations like Tesla scattered around the states? It's going to be both.
So
because
right now, as it stands, EV charging stations can charge multiple different types of vehicles.
Right.
The only one that's really proprietary is Tesla right now.
Right. And
so, and they're looking at opening up to others. So
next month.
Yeah. So that's already a thing.
Yeah. So I hope that they do this rollout reasonably, and I hope that they are paying attention to any lessons learned that come from opening this thing up in Europe, because there are places in Europe that are like California where they are oversubscribed, and there will be a lot of loud, angry people if you make them wait an extra 20 minutes because some newcomer is using their station. In my area, they're fine. There's plenty of space. There's very rarely a wait, so I'm fine. And there's so many chargers that I can just go to the next one. It's just going to be a delicate rollout, and I hope they do it right, because it's the right thing to do, but there are so many ways to screw it up.
Well, the closest supercharger near me is usually full. Like I've gone there. Like initially, it was like barely ever used, but then I guess it became popular. So now, like in the summertime, at least, it's almost every time I drive past there, I see it pretty much full. So this could be an issue. You know, with lines starting to build up and people having to wait.
Yeah, but if they build them out correctly, then you just go another mile down the road and find the next one. So Yu found Yu is the guy who took his Model 3 around the world and then ended up crashing it almost all the way through. He found this manufacturer plate Tesla with laser LiDAR units attached to the rack above. So a lot of people will see these and be like, "Oh, see, Tesla believes in LiDAR." What Tesla does with LiDAR is they use it to truth their system. So this is likely a Model 3 without radar with the new full vision stack, and they are now benchmarking it to make sure that the numbers they expect match up with this expensive LiDAR system. You don't want to put this on every car. It's expensive, and it confuses the autopilot computer, because now it's dealing with the same situation why they got rid of radar in the first place. So this is literally just a calibration unit.
And it's ugly.
Not to mention that's clumsy.
Yes. So this is interesting to see these calibration units come out in the wild. Like a couple weeks ago, we saw the one in, was it the UK or Australia, where they had all the wheel speed sensors, night sensors, and stuff.
Animals move in different ways.
There's a bolt there.
Oh, that was a Buc-ee's in the back.
No. It was just interesting.
The thing that Chevy Bolt was parked by itself. There was no other cars.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Got bad recall.
Too soon.
All right, so I just saw a related article that I wanted to look at real quick, because I love these types of videos, and it's what made me comfortable driving my Chevy Volt, and when I borrowed Nissan Leaf, so my Volt's in service.
Ooh.
So this is a water trough test.
Good test.
Those are things that like really get my gears going.
That's why I interrupted the flow of the show to add this video that wasn't even on the list. Where's the video? No video, just pictures.
That is oh wow. Like, okay, so in real world applications, this can go very far as to saving lives when you have major floodings, when you can still tread the ground level because of the heavy battery pack, obviously.
Also, with it being an adventure vehicle, you might be off-road and come across a stream that you need to cross.
Yes. But just the ability to save lives.
I'm with Dan on this with as far as rescue. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
That would be great for, like, you know, police departments, fire departments, like, and have these type of vehicles, and then they could do like high water rescues in areas that are highly prone to flooding and hurricanes and things like that during these disasters. because
right up north right now in New York.
like the disaster we just had recently in New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania. This type of thing would be great for saving people.
But Mike has a point, though. For the just like we said with these powerful vehicles, when you end up with a car that can go through water, you end up with novices that are going to end up getting washed away because you can wash a Mack truck down the road if it's got enough water.
True, and here's the crazy thing: as being prior service,
and then Tim says, if this is your only way, you might prefer a car that doesn't get stuck.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, because if you ever looked at a military Humvee, the ones with the high exhaust are the Marine ones that have to ford through water. Mm-hmm. And even when we had them in the washing, like actual wash rack, to get on the air carriage, they had the same type of trough, but they had power jets underneath. But you had to keep the engine rev because if you stop the engine, the water goes back into the exhaust, screws your engine up. The mechanics would kick your butt for it. But seeing that has that memory of doing that. But again, the battery pack's low. It weighs the car down. You know the level. You can pull a Zodiac boat or something that can carry first responders, pull people out the water, or it's exciting to see so many electric vehicles that can have.
You can have people sitting in the bed of the pickup truck with the water at that height and still save people.
Exactly.
Have them jump into the bed.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
and we see that with the lifted trucks. Now you don't even need a lifted truck.
It's just crazy how cool that is.
Yeah, so Tesla made a big deal for the longest time when they had the induction motors about how they didn't use any rare earth metals. Excuse me. And not everybody can say that about their electric motors. So Nissan, they are now testing a recycling process for their motor magnets, and it.
What are you eating? Cat ears?
It allows them to recycle these rare earth metals from their magnets so they can reuse them again later. And here's what they had. So what they want to do is actually I'll let them explain it themselves. They do a decent job of it. They do use permanent magnets in their motors, and they use rare earth permanent magnets in their solution. So rather than getting virgin materials, which is expensive and hard to do and bad for the environment, why not recycle the ones that are just done? I mean, right now people are putting them in other cars, but what about when that car's no longer desirable, or for that one particular motor, if it's no longer functional, you can bring it back down to its base components and not have to get virgin materials again. So they're going to take apart the motor, remove the magnets, and then they're going to add in iron. They call it pig iron, and they're going to let that combine with some of the other materials, and they're going to put in some process to allow the rare earths to float to the top as slag, and they can just skim it off the top, and then they can process that and just clean it up. And it has to get to 1400 C. And people are like, oh, that's a lot of energy. Yes, it is a lot of energy, but it's less energy than mining it from the earth again and refining it from rocks. It's a lot easier to refine it from slag than from rocks.
Cool. I like it. I like reusing and renewing and recycling.
Reuse, recycle. Yeah.
That's good. Absolutely. One of the things that a lot of critics say about EVs is, oh well, what do you do with all these precious metals and precious materials and everything once they're done and they're no longer viable in that particular vehicle?
Same thing you do with batteries. Recycle them.
You don't want this stuff sitting in landfills somewhere.
No.
This is too valuable. Reuse it.
Exactly. Reuse it, and then when nobody wants it anymore because maybe the Nissan Leaf is not powerful anymore, or that one particular unit is broken, recycle it into something new. So now Nissan Leaf motors can become Nissan Aria motors.
Yep.
And the Aria is a lot more powerful.
It's good.
Definitely.
Just reminds me of when they recycled the cooking grease and then put it into modified cars, and then you smell chicken as you go down the road.
Very similar to that.
That's what this reminds me of. It's very intriguing. All right, so I have a new I put it in the chat, but I have a new watcher who's, when they saw the water trough article, they want to know what's the best vehicle for zombie proofing. I would say it's the Cybertruck. See, they were afraid to ask anyone look silly. We all look silly.
Cybertruck, man. That thing's a tank on wheels.
It's designed. It's designed for the zombie apocalypse because Elon, well, he does watch fiction and he likes the idea of the zombie apocalypse.
Yep.
When he was asking us what we wanted in our trucks, that was something he did. So Teslarati saw a video from Tesla Raj and another video from Green the Only about what the car does when it sees you on your cell phone. And so here we can see Green has got raw output. It's watching the guy's eyes, sunglasses.
That's what mine does.
Probably does the same thing that Raj's does. And so what it does after a little while is it... Here we go.
We're all geared up. We've got a camera over here to monitor, act like the cabin camera and see what it sees I'm doing in the car. So what happens if I try to use my phone, meaning my eyes are not on the road, and then I'm not holding the steering wheel either. So right now I have FSD activated. Here we go.
The full self-driving beta. He's looking down at the phone, which is all the car cares about right now. 15 seconds, and the car is like, hey, no.
Stop it.
Yes. So to watch the full test, go check it out on Tesla Raj.
Or after that, if you like, so if you keep using your phone, you look up and you're like, okay, fine car, and you wiggle the steering wheel a little bit. I'm still here. I'm whatever. And then you look down to start to play with your phone again. It will like almost immediately start bugging you again. Like it doesn't wait that 15 seconds the second time. It's like, hey, I warned you first time.
I thought we agreed on this.
Right.
Oh man. Wow.
It's like within 5 seconds.
Right. So all these people saying, oh, autopilot means that people are going to think the car can drive itself. No, it doesn't. And full self-driving, people are going to think it can drive itself because it's named that. I can see that argument, but on the full self-driving beta, it doesn't advertise itself as full self-driving. That's just the name, and nobody's going to be confused by it.
There's plenty of tests where people have actually went on the highways. Don't try this at home, and they've literally just didn't respond. And even before this, the car was like, we're going to take you off the road for like 15 minutes until you decide you want to act right or wake up, whichever one.
On the existing cars, it will stop in the lane and put the flashers on and open the doors. But on the beta cars, it does pull over and like, you're done. You're on timeout.
Back to me in 20 minutes.
Right. So back to Rivian again. Motor Trend had the chance to drive a Rivian. I thought we talked about this earlier in the show. We did. Moving on.
I still think that's a cool thing because actually they tend to be doing just ICE vehicles. So the fact that they've actually given this praise to a non-Tesla electric vehicle, I think is a cool thing.
Yes. So Tasmanian is reporting that Chile is the first Latin American country to have access to SpaceX's Starlink service. Dan just dipped out in the middle of his sentence. It was the first Latin American country to have access to SpaceX's Starlink internet service and is now available to order. Chile is a huge country as far as length.
Listen, Starlink, I mean, that makes sense, though. I mean,
it does.
Look, that is a very long country.
It's most of the continent in length. It's not very wide.
It's not very wide, but it's super long.
Yes.
Welcome back.
He had a frozen screen. That's why. Okay.
I didn't know that was me on this end.
All right, but I like it. So while we were digging through Tasmanian's articles, they pointed out that the Tesla Giga Nevada, has reached a new milestone. 1 million battery packs have been produced at Giga Nevada.
Yes. Now, what are they going to do with that millionth pack? Are they going to keep that and like save it? Like, I see everybody signed it.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing they're going to keep that.
Yeah, because the millionth Model 3 is sitting in Giga Nevada right now as well. So what they could do is take this pack, put it in that car, and then use the pack in the original car to get one more car on the road.
It could.
It's still new.
Right?
I'm just being practical. But this is good because that first million is really hard. And after that, they're going to be like, just churn them out. Like Elon said, it'd be like spitting bullets out of a factory. And they're getting there. So in the segment I called Screw Around and Find Out, our friend Sergio is going to kick this off. And he starts with somebody, as we spoke with Marcus, some people can't handle the power. And so I like the way that this particular news organization covered it. They didn't, they didn't hide that it was a Tesla, but they didn't go out of their way to say Tesla in the headline or anything like that. They did the same thing they do with every other car crash. 2 dead, including a homeowner, after a vehicle plows through Palm Harbor home. They just said vehicle.
No, that's good. That's how they.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so I like that they did that. It was they
That's
treated
how
it
it
just like
should
any
be
other car.
reported.
Yeah. Horrible not knocked on Tesla. Ever since I got my Mach-E, I've been wondering about the speed and power of an EV in the hands of a reckless or inexperienced driver. And to that end, we have another story after this one.
I will point out in this story that it happened in Florida.
Florida man.
Well, Florida. That explains everything.
Florida man attacks again.
Florida man strikes again.
With great power comes great responsibility. Stay safe out there, everyone. With easier access to this kind of power, Tesla and other high-performance EVs need to start doing mandatory class before delivery to those drivers. Get some common effing sense in your heads. You want to drive it super fast, buy time at a race course. Yes. So then we'll switch to the article view.
Pull a Casey, take it to the racetrack.
Hey, I've been to all kinds of racetracks with mine.
I think in that particular case, the owner wasn't even driving. He was showing the car off to his friend. His friend was driving, and the owner was in the passenger seat when that crash happened.
Yeah. So the troopers say that the crash killed 2 people. It occurred at 10:21 p.m. on Friday, September 3rd, in Palm Harbor, Florida. And the crash involved a 2021 Tesla Model S Plaid. See, they say exactly what it is, but they don't put it up in the headline. And they said where it is. I do hate this. Like, why say exactly where it was? Just say, this area. This man is 41 years old, and this is his middle name, and here's his social security number. Troopers say the Tesla was traveling northbound at high speed on Manning Road, approaching Hermosa Drive in Palm Beach, Florida. And I think that this was a nice short one. Nope, this is a long one. There was a nice short one about it. But basically, they were driving at high rate of speed, and 2 people tragically lost their lives because these people wouldn't do it on a racetrack. And like Marcus says, you want to keep your record clean. You want to do this stuff in a safe environment, and in a neighborhood is not that. Just isn't.
No, it's not. Not at all. Why would you do it in a neighborhood? That's
the speed limit in the neighborhood. Like 15, 25, 30.
Even a highway, even like an interstate, is still not a safe place to be doing like crazy reckless speeds. But
especially
in a neighborhood, it's even worse. Take that to the track. Just leave that. Just take that type of behavior to the track.
Exactly. So, in the other story of bad drivers, our friend Mark Benton shared this. Several other people shared it, but I don't want to give them the YouTube play.
Oh, these fools, yeah.
So I will play it from their captured video. So Mark has captured it here, and he says, "Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. The driver claims it wouldn't stop. What a moron." My guess is it ends up on the shorter's headlines, something along the lines of "Young boy crashes car, says Tesla wouldn't stop." Your brakes don't work if you're in the air. I'm just gonna say.
Well, the thing is, when you're doing ridiculous speeds, there's a certain amount of stopping. Your stopping distance increases substantially.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Especially if you've been doing it repeatedly and your brakes are hot. Yeah.
When you're doing 100 miles an hour, you can't stop on a dime.
No matter what vehicle.
It's just not going to happen.
Exactly.
You need enough stopping distance. So by the time he put on his brakes, it was too late. It didn't stop.
That's why when you see all these car test sites do the 0 to 100 to 0 again, they do it on a runway, an airplane runway, because it takes a lot of room.
Because they want to make sure they have plenty of space.
And sometimes they still run out of room and they end up in the grass.
I just want to mention a safety feature after this clip gets played.
Okay.
I was like, bro, we are going to flip. We're not going to flip. I'm good, trust.
No, you won't flip.
But when you were just going straight, that shit was fun. That shit was fun. Hey, we should get down here.
I also like that Mark cut it up for a lot less waiting around.
You
see the car bottomed out the suspension there.
The car is hitting airborne. Oh.
Yeah.
He crashed it.
You heard two impacts.
He crashed it. Come on. Yes.
Lots of brakes as he's going sideways. He is so lucky that nobody was injured. This is an active
and look,
business.
he went across a road there.
Across an active road.
Like if that car right there would have been with bad timing, he would have went right through him.
And it's very clearly all these trucks. The trucks can't just stop on a dime when something like this pops out.
Like he
tore up the grass, tore up the bushes.
Could have killed himself or somebody else.
He could have killed his friend right here when the glass pane could have fell down onto the open roof, because the roof is now open. And then, of course, like every Tesla, on impact, the flashers start going. That's how I know this isn't a fake.
Oh my god. You're joking. You're kidding.
This is an active warehouse. People are working in there right now.
How's his friend?
Where's his friend at?
Oh my god.
He's all right.
Where's the guy?
He's in the car right there.
Oh my god.
Okay.
And what is he worried about? He's worried about getting his phone and the evidence out, because this is a loaner car.
Oh my god.
Test drive car. This is not
it's a demo car, test drive car.
Are you good?
It's not even.
He was the one in the car initially, right?
It's not even fools like this are part of the reason why we get the stupid speed limit on the loaner cars, because people can't be trusted.
But he walked away from it.
The one in the red, was he the one in the car?
Go ahead.
The guy in the red was the one in the car?
Yeah.
Again, he walked away. Like he walked away. That's ridiculous.
His YouTube channel has 25 subscribers, and he did the same situation with a BMW, tore it up, and then another BMW ran it into a wall as well. And like, I don't.
All this for 25 subscribers?
Right, and worse than that is, since it is real and it is dangerous, he's the good thing for us that it's Tesla legal, because Tesla doesn't play with their lawyers. They'll teach him a little bit of humbleness, but it could have been if anybody was injured or hurt in this.
Wait a minute, go back.
They'd be away forever.
The guy in the red, I thought he walked up to the car. I think his friend was already out of the car. He might have ran away after he said it.
That's him in the red. That's him in the red.
That's him in the red.
Yeah.
I thought there's three guys though.
There's another guy in red.
This guy's walking up in the red.
Okay, yeah, that's who I thought got out of the car.
Yeah, because he gets in the car and then gets back out. He gets in the car, grabs a bunch of stuff out the car, and then gets back out.
Where's your third guy?
There's another guy. Oh, there are people in the building. Look at that.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
This kid in the red, I think I know what happened. I think he got out the car initially, walked back to his friends. Then him and his friends walked back to the car, and he got back in the car to retrieve his belongings out of the car. And then,
were they planning on abandoning it?
Until his phone was in there, yes.
Probably.
So there was only two guys.
See? Did the driver
run
away?
It's got to be three, because you see two guys on camera and somebody's holding the phone. Yeah. And then there's the whole situation of, now this is on video on YouTube, so Tesla Legal has everything they need for evidence. And did the driver run away? Because the guy in the red shirt, we see him get in the crashed car.
Well, the police have all the evidence they need.
Right.
For 25 subscribers. This is not even the other channel where they
the only lucid moment in the whole video is when the guy says, I'm going to jail, man.
We're going to jail, man. Yep.
Idiot.
They could have hurt the people that were working in the factory. There were people.
Exactly. There were people working in that building.
Right.
If they knocked over the shelf or knocked some product off the shelf, that could have injured somebody.
And the worst part about it is, for this type of reckless driving and just reckless crash, I mean, they'll get all types of fines and
The company's going after
things
them.
on their license or whatever. But then they'll be able to just do it again or whatever if they so choose.
And they're repeat offenders because this isn't the first one I saw on their channel.
Had somebody died, which they clearly could have killed somebody.
Absolutely. Or maimed
had somebody died, now you're looking at serious prison time. So you want to risk serious prison time for some views and some clicks? Like
we're talking like 2 or 3 views or clicks because he's got 25 subscribers. Robert's right. They don't deserve a car. And wow. And they recorded. Yes, exactly.
Exactly. They're telling on themselves.
Yes.
It's crazy because they don't understand the warehouse they run to. That's a whole organization. They're operating in the millions, if not billions, of dollars of materials. So if
they could have tagged one of them semi trucks coming around the corner with a full load.
Yes, the little trailer jockeys that are moving trailers around for no reason. Like this company is going to go after them, particularly for this reason. It's crazy.
I imagine that they move them for a reason.
Well, the driver clearly wasn't thinking about the fact that he could have killed himself.
Of course not.
I mean,
right. Because 100 miles an hour in any car, even a Tesla, could kill you.
You run in any warehouse I've seen, that warehouse, where this Oshkosh, Bagosh, or any other warehouse, they're coming after you just for messing up their place because that interferes with their money, their bottom line. It's crazy to me.
What?
Well, and you're raising their rates if they don't do anything. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So was this Stan or Omar?
That was me.
So Business Insider doesn't seem to understand how the Musk Companies tend to work with customer service. You've got a bunch of people who are mad that they put $100 down on Starlink and they don't have any idea when the new one's coming. I've got $100 down on Starlink and I don't know when it's coming. It'll show up one day. I just hope that they let me know before they deduct $400 from my account.
What's the 400 off the 100 you already put?
However it works, I don't care. Okay. Just hope they let me know before they go dip into my bank account.
Money's over there first.
Yeah. But the folks who have it, they really seem to enjoy it. Some of them have even gone so far as to cancel their existing service. So it's happening. It's the point they've started the new shell. It takes time.
I think Starlink's going to be great for rural areas for people that have a hard time getting true broadband. It's going to be fantastic for them.
Yeah. But it takes time to move the satellites into place. So
right.
They're there. Now we just got to wait for them. It takes like 2 to 5 months for them to get into place from where they go. And so if you're not there yet, then just wait.
Like almost weekly, they're throwing more in the air. So it's like here's a couple of thousand more. Here's a couple of thousand more. Here's a couple of thousand more. And there's a place that's undeserving. Let's throw some in that grid area first. Or here's some in I think they had the Oregon fires not too long ago, and they sent some in that direction. So I think it's going to be
there's also the capacity situation too. And as we saw with Elon today, we're also waiting on the satellite because right now the ground stations are a little bit overloaded. So if they can route them to wherever there's capacity, that will help. This one is infuriating. Italy is trying to help shield the supercars from the combustion engine ban in Europe, which
I think I
say if they can't figure it out, let them die. I mean, there's a couple jobs, but we've seen everybody else is able to come up with an electric car. We've got the Rimac Navara, we've got the Model S Plaid, we've got the Tesla Roadster. We've got all of these cars.
The worst part about it is when you look at supercars, the point of the supercar or a hypercar is speed, right?
Yeah.
Electric cars are quicker.
They're quicker, more powerful.
Electrify them.
Yeah.
It's faster.
And they don't annoy the neighbors because they're not loud.
It won't go nowhere. It would be once you create it, it'd be like one of the fastest production ICE vehicles that is on par with an electric, and eventually it will accelerate that one electric. It will accelerate that one supercar to be. It's like, oh wow, you can get a nice car to be as fast as this, and it's just one instead of 17 other on the road polluting.
Yeah.
So whereas
you can daily it too.
Yeah, whereas the first generation Roadster was a novelty car that is a collector's item.
You can daily it too.
Yes, this will be a novelty car as a collector's item. They won't stop selling. They just won't be everywhere.
then the article takes Ferrari's side. They're like, oh, poo-poo, Ferrari doesn't have any electrics. They've staunchly resisted, blah, blah, blah. Well, then Ferrari needs to go out of business if they can't figure it out. Because Lamborghini, they have a concept electric, and they have several hybrids. And we are out of time to play with this this combustion mess. So, like, we are literally getting 100-year storms every year from extreme weather events. Excited for the laser interlink for Starlink will be transformative on international data communications. Exactly. I mean, can you imagine like being on a travel cross country or on a boat or whatever? I mean, there's so many applications for this that I'm excited and can't wait. Absolutely. All right, so let's close Bloomberg because I'm done with them. And I had, this one came from Dan as well. It's our friend Ashley Renee. I haven't watched the whole video yet because I was watching it in the countdown to the show. So Ashley Renee, she and her husband have a robot lawnmower. And her whole situation with her channel is all about vegan and green living and sustainable choices and responsibility. I was looking for a video of her and her husband controlling the mower.
So I watched the video.
Excellent.
So they were covering the good and the bad, and one of the downsides to that mower was the wires that you're seeing there.
The perimeter wire?
They set it up on the perimeter, sort of like an electric fence for the mower. And the problem is those wires are easy to get severed. Oh. And so their wires had gotten severed from various things. Like one time it was severed from they got their lawn aerated. And so that cut it. Another time it got cut from something else. So the problem is once that's severed, then repair or replacing it ends up being a big ordeal.
Yeah.
So that's the one downfall that they saw from it.
So they have a couple of new models that have GPS in them for anti-theft and to make sure that they're in the right area. But those ones still use a wire. It would be really nice for them to let you remote control them to make the absolute map of your place, and then just use GPS to control it.
It would be nice if they could just map themselves out and map their world.
Yeah.
They have like the
Roombas. You tell it, here's the edge, and then just let it figure it out.
If you look at the Roombas,
like that.
The vacuum cleaners, they map themselves out, and they're inside. They're not even using GPS, but they map themselves out in such a way with the cameras and sensors and however they do it to where they map the room. You could use the same type of technology for them to map out your yard, and once they map out your perimeter and your space, they can just operate within that space.
Yeah. The F1 car is just 2 gallons for each lap. Yeah, stuff like that. It's like we need to come on with. Yeah. And so the electric mower, like Omar and I both have electric mowers. And do you, Dawood, or do you have a service?
I have a service.
Oh, okay. Well, some of the services are going electric too, which is really cool to see. Unfortunately, not the one that my neighbor uses. They have a 2-stroke and they like, just pick a speed and deal with it. Really interested in the auto mower. Been tempted for years now. I am also interested in it, but I can't justify it here at this townhouse because we can weed whack it in about 20 minutes front and back. Or if I get the regular mower involved, I can get it done in 10 minutes. And that's including walking around because you don't want to bring your lawn equipment through the house.
So the auto mower would actually be useful for me, the size of mine, because it takes me a good hour and a half to do my lawn. And that's with my mower. Yeah. But
I hope Ego makes one.
You know what? But I wouldn't want this issue. I wouldn't want that wired electric fence. I'd rather have
GPS.
Right. If they can figure out a way for it to map out with AI or something, then I'll think about it.
Yeah, because some of these robots for the vacuum cleaners, they have AI, so they know this is poop, this is shoes, this is the strings, this is a cable, and they don't go over the animal mess, and they don't run over your shoelaces. And then if you can tell it where the outside edge is, it can figure out, hey, that's a tree. I should not run over the tree because I won't survive. They already have sensors.
My house is on the slope, so
Yeah.
I think my backyard is about 1 story higher than my front yard.
Wow.
So I don't know if it can go upstairs, then I could consider an electric mower.
That would be fun. I think we're getting there because once you've gone electric, it's not that hard to add autonomy to it. Robert says electric battery mower mains, but hand push mower is still best. Yeah, I have for my house in South Carolina. I left my tenants with a push reel mower.
Add one of those things.
Well, the good thing is there are no trees, so you don't end up with the stick and.
And here's the really cool thing. I was still listening on the YouTube feed. The really cool thing, I have the push lawnmower, and I also have the various battery sizes. At a certain point, battery lawnmowers will tell you when to quit, because once I used up everything, it's like, okay, I got to go home, or I got to go back in and take a break, because you're just going to stop. And you have to stop unless I have 10 batteries, which is overdoing it. But
I've got too many batteries.
Yeah,
the newer ones have bigger batteries that are better. Like the one that I have, I do my whole lawn front and back on a single charge.
Yeah, is yours the dual battery or the one battery?
Mine is one battery, but it's
mine
a
too.
big battery.
Yeah, mine is one battery, and it's the size of the regular. I forgot the brand.
Mine is like a 10. Is it?
Wait a minute.
I think mine's a 7.5.
Something or whatever. Yeah. Mine's just like 10, whatever it is. Whatever I don't know. I forget how they're measuring them, but it's 10.
Okay, yeah, G-Max. That's backwards, but
yeah. See, yours is 4 amp hours. That's why mine is 10 amp hours.
Yeah, mine's only 7.5.
4 amp. Yeah.
And this is mine is literally more than double the size of your battery.
Mine is double.
And this is my heaviest one. So
yeah.
By the time they all go through, my leaf blower, my chainsaw, edge climber pole.
That's what I like about it, is that you can use them. So I start out with the weed whacker and the edger, and then I do the mower, and I end up with the blower. And at my house, I ended up using 2 batteries. I used the big one and one small one, but on my townhouse, I used the one slightly smaller than that one. I use for everything.
You're close to becoming industrial.
Right?
So this is what I use. I use the big boy battery for my lawnmower itself to actually push around and mow all the grass. Then I have one that's half this size that I use for the leaf blower and the edger and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, the Works is all right, Robert. I had them first, but then I wanted to consolidate so they all had the same battery. So I took that back and made sure they were all the same brand. I started buying them at the Home Depot, but then I just started buying them direct from Ego and Amazon, depending on who had the best price. And then I started buying them without batteries because I have 4 of them now. I don't need any more until I get like a snowblower or the home backup battery pack.
Yeah. So yeah.
And you save money by getting them without the batteries too.
Yes, I've noticed that. But once we've hit the 5 battery max, 1 for each, because I never have 5 people at once. But if we can use them all at once, and then it's like, okay, all batteries are dead. Let's go back in and we're good. So it definitely works out that way.
I like to as I rotate, I'll pop inside and I'll pop one on the quick charger. Yep, 6 batteries at 90 pounds each. Goodness, 90 pounds sterling. Yes. All right. Anybody have any questions or anything?
No, not this week.
Well, I'm glad. If my new viewer's still here, thank you for joining.
Indeed. Thank you for coming and commenting as well.
They want to answer the zombie question.
Let's see here. Let's pick a video, and I want to do number 4. All right. We'll catch you on the flip side. See you next week.